needed to be addressed. And these gaps may be some of the reasons why there is conflict in the family, especially between parents and their children. So, to kick off tonight's discussion, before then, some questions came in during the week. I will just read them out. That's why I said it's going to take a different turn tonight. So some questions came in like, as we grow older, how do we establish boundaries with our parents in a way they don't find offensive or disrespectful? So this is speaking of those that are, they may be Gen Z, but they're already getting to Royal Sisters department. So they said as they grow older, how do they establish boundaries to the point that it will not be seen as disrespect to parents? And also, the other question is, what effect do you believe the African way / ethnic way of raising your children has on them when they enter the workplace? So I'm just throwing this out so that we think about them. In context now, the person said, from my experience, people from ethnic backgrounds are really easy to bully in the workplace because since they come from, is it hierarchical backgrounds, they are generally trained not to talk back or disagree. This then makes it very easy to take advantage of them in workplace. Do we understand what this person is saying? Okay. So this person said, is there ever a time where parents view or consider their children as equal in the sense of decision making or critical thinking? Of course, parents will always be parents, but in the area of decision making, if so, when and how do you determine if such a time has arrived? Okay. Amen. I still got more, but I don't want to bore us with. I will come back with these questions. So, let's continue from last week. Somebody raised an argument here. Was it you, Percy? So can you? Yes. Can you raise it? Then we'll have the...
I think because the last thing we were kind of talking about was chores and why kids don't comply. And Deaconess Mary raised the point, well, when it becomes a habit of them not doing the chores, how are we supposed to know something is wrong? And my argument was that the habit of them not doing the chores is the indication that something is wrong. If something seems small and simple and your child is struggling, maybe that means there's something deeper you need to look into rather than just rebuking them. That can be an indication of these mental health issues that we talk about on this side.
Okay, so Deaconess, do you have a response for that? Okay, so it's not a question. Can you use your mic and
Yeah, I don't think that's a question. I think you just explained something. Is that a question or is it an explanation?
Well, I guess if the question was going to be there, I guess it was more, why doesn't this side see those things as, like the indication of a problem rather than the problem? I'm saying the problem is not them not doing the chores. The problem is why they're struggling to do the chores. But on this side, we get the feeling that the problem is you're not doing the chores. And we're saying something else is happening, making us not do the chores. Because one thing, a comment that was brought up that stuck with me is that someone said on this side that sometimes we don't listen to your requests because we're already feeling frustrated from you not doing these things. But I'm saying those feelings are strong on both sides. So if we have to acknowledge that your frustration hinders you from listening, our own frustration are going to hinder us from doing things as well. So where is that disconnect in that sort of communication? Where on this end, it's like we're feeling all this stuff, that's why we're annoyed. we are saying the exact same thing of we're feeling all this stuff, we're annoyed, but it's like this end, it's feeling like we're invalidated. I think a big issue is coming out of that.
Okay. Okay, so tonight we're going to do something, okay? You, as the Gen Z, you are going to ask the older generation, questions that bothers you about them. Then get them to respond to you, and vice versa. What you feel are the annoying behaviors of the younger generation. So I will give you the opportunity to have a discussion, okay? Are we okay with that? So do we have any question from let's start with Ola. Ola, do you have a question for the older generation? Feel free to,
Hello.
yes, have a go.
Hi, yeah, so I have a question since the last 2 times we've spoken about Gen Z and Gen X, or baby boomers, as you call them, Gen Power. I just want to start by saying Gen Z starts from 1997 or 1996 to 2012 or 2010. So Gen Z is quite a big amount of age group. So 27 years old or 26 years old to like 12 or 13. That's the age group as per research about Gen Z. So I wanted to just ask some of the things, Gen Power or Gen X or baby boomers go through. We also go through that because we are in the working class, we are working, we have families, we have children already. My first question is actually about if, for example, as a Gen Power, there's actually 2 questions, but on the finance. The first thing is that if you had a culture or have a culture whereby you send money back home, you assist family, you assist everything, and then somehow, the expectation now lies down or falls down onto the children because of a certain behavior or certain pattern the Gen Power exhibit. And now there's now a bit of expectation as Gen Z about sending money back home or helping your cousins or your aunties or everything. And when we refuse because we're saying, well, we're too blessed to be stressed, we can't really do that right now because we have other dreams and whatnot, we're seen as the spoiled generation. Or whereby another example would be your family asking you for money and having expectation for you to always deliver no matter what. How do you, as the generation before us, acknowledge this in a way and help us, break that barrier? Because if you're a parent or a sisters or whatnot, you kind of, not you per se, I'm just saying Gen Power started this lineage, and now it kind of falls on the child now, or the daughter or the son, to continue this kind of pattern of behavior. Or how do we break the pattern or the expectation of behavior whereby, people asking us, Gen Z, for money back home, and we say no, and it's not because we're being rude or being entitled, it's just because we realize that we can't actually continue this ongoing pattern the Gen Power does. That's my first question.
Yes, I think my response is going to be totally different. For me, I will allow other people to speak, but for me, I don't expect my child, I send money back home, but I don't expect my children to continue to carry on that pattern. No, it's going to end with me. I'm not going to recruit them into that behavior or into that structure. I wouldn't want my kids to do that. So I think I will let people that have that experience to speak. I don't have that experience, and I don't expect my children to do that. That's just the truth. So I don't know if you have that experience.
I think I would agree with Mama. There are a lot of people who are still doing it, where they expect their children to take the responsibility and burden. And like Mama said, that's the generation we're trying to break off because it's very unfair. I've had relationships and marriages actually fall apart because of this, because a family had to support cousins after cousins after cousins. and it was the breakdown of a whole marriage. So I don't recommend it. It's not something that I will teach my kids. I would definitely agree with Mama. So you can set your boundaries in that. You can say no.
But I mean, when it's coming from like a parent, that's the thing, because like it's like, well, I sent you to school, or well, I did this, well, all that was I did all this for you. Now you're my central bank. How do you handle that in a way that you're not like coming across as like ungrateful, or like, as now that you're doing well for yourself, now you want to start setting something called boundaries or whatnot, especially like to baby boomers, I just want to like, yeah, that's my question.
Is it on? Okay. As like African parents, okay, from our generation going back, they used to have their children and educating them, all that kind of a thing, expecting them to help them back when they grow older. I think this is the culture on certain, more African countries. But as for me, because I think it's on each person, it's about you. How do you feel about where you're coming from and what did your parents do for you, okay? It's all up to individual, okay? It's not something that can be forced, but I'm saying this because I am in this country, okay? And my children, they grew up in this country. So I don't expect them when I go, because my life, I'm not going to die here. That's one thing for sure. I'll go back where I came from. And I don't expect my children. It's up to them. It's up to you to feel like you had a parent who did this for you, who raised you up, who educated you. That is me, because I got the enlightenment of being in Australia, okay? But a mom that has never been in Australia, she's still back there. She went on her barefoot to help you go to university. And then you get to in this green pasture, that's what they call it from there. Because the mentality they have and the mentality I have in here to these guys that grew up here is different, okay? I will never expect my child to help me, because I do understand now the life of being in a Western world, but I am still at the same time different from mom who is still in Africa, who's never experienced the life in this world. So, yeah.
About not necessarily your parent, but like relatives, like cousins and all that. But
I'm saying both parts. I'm saying cousins first of all, like in regards to like the culture of parents sending back money to cousins and whatnot. And the second question is actually the parent themselves respecting. So, because you said that they send you to school and whatnot, actually like. It's your choice to raise up your child, right? Not saying that we can't help, but having this expectation, and then like what's the word? There's a word for it, like obligation. Like you are obliged to actually do this for me. You are obliged to always do this for me, no matter what, because I sent you to school or because I did this. And if you think about it in a very interesting sense, in like plain sense, actually not really, not like. So there's a lot of Gen Zs and a lot of people my age, or maybe a bit older than I am, who have, there's a word like, they have like regrets for doing something, because it means that maybe something, some people are actually afraid to tell their parents how much they earn or how they're saving up, because they know that once that comes out, there's always an issue that's going to raise up, like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that, and all the savings goes drain, or all the savings goes to that thing. And when they are like, what do I have to show for myself at that point? They're like, oh, I have nothing because I helped this person. And because the parents, not just Africans, I mean a lot of ethnic groups, they have this mentality that you're obliged to do something, you're obliged to help us no matter what. That they don't see that the young person's actually struggling. They don't see that the young person's actually not having any like fulfillment overall. I'm just trying to like see that perspective. Like, you know, yes, they helped, but at the same time, that's your child. Are you saying that, you know, it's your child, really?
Also, one thing you have to understand, in as much as I don't believe in passing on responsibility to my children, like when it regards to sending money back home, stuff like that, I will never do that. But then there are people that their parent actually went through a lot to send them abroad because they want them to change, because they feel that they are the light of the family, to change whatever the poverty and everything that is going on in the family. So there are families that actually sold everything they had to send a child back, or to send a child abroad, to get a better life. So if that is the case, I think, the person is supposed to. That's what I believe.
But that's the difference, like helping out in like saying like, I'll give you certain amount of money every time, but now asking, well, I expect you to give me at least 10,000 every month, at least this amount of money. I'm being serious. People ask for that. People are, I'm not using the word obligation. You're obliged to do this for us. You're obliged to send us amount of money this way because we know you're currently working. We know you're currently doing this. That's what I'm asking, because like there's a bit of difference between helping and actually having an obligation that, oh, I need to buy a new house in this certain city. You need to help with that kind of situation.
That's your choice. You don't have to. It's your money, it's your sweat. So you decide what you want to do with your money. Your parent, as long as you work, your parent will not make your decision for you. It's you make your decision yourself. So you decide what you want to do with your money. If you want to help someone, you can help. If you don't want to, it's not a crime. It's not a sin, rather. So, you just have to tell them you can't. You just have to open up and say the way it is. Nobody's going to kill you for doing that. Yeah, even if they will say you are a bad person, you just have to speak your mind. Because that's witchcraft. If someone says, you must give me certain amounts from your pay every month, that's witchcraft. It's wrong. No one, my husband can't even tell me, you should give me certain amount every month, or I tell him you must give me. That's witchcraft. That's not right.
Maybe just to add on that as well. From the carnal mind, saying parents are obliged to send their children to school, I'll say no. But from the biblical side, it's a yes, because we actually want to set our children for success. But now, you should not take it as they actually have got to do this. The only reason why we do it is because we know that every person, no matter how small you are, no matter how old you are meant to be a great person. The only reason why so the only reason why we would actually make sure that we meet our expectation, not only send you to school, that's one other expectation. We want to make sure that we are not going to end up being judged for someone has come through my family. God has done that for a reason. So I actually want my children to be better than me, which might be also another reason why now parents, when they actually see that what you are doing is not consistent with the signs that really show that there is going to be success, now they actually say, oh, what are you doing here? Now, maybe that lack of good communication, but the parents will actually be trying to set you up for success. What you are doing now, we can actually tell that you are not going to succeed from the experience that they've actually had. They might actually had friends who were doing exactly the same thing that you're actually doing, and they failed. Then they'll say, okay, I've seen this happening. And they use that as an opportunity to say, how can I get this corrected? Because it's not only one person who went through this path and failed. I've seen a lot of people going through this path and failed. So then they'll say, no, maybe you need to spend time on your books. You need to study. Maybe I'll do this. So failure is predictable. If you're not putting effort there, you just be given a talent. You're made to be a good person, but you also able to do your bit. So
Can I
That's my
just thank you? Can I just add, because I've actually been that daughter who looked after my parents and sent money home for, well, 15 years. And that was an expectation. I understand where you're coming from, because you feel the pressure that, why should I really? To me, what I really carried on was the fact that these are my parents who, they would want the best for me. No matter what, they sent me here so that I can have a better life that they have always dreamed about, by the way. And so I took that as a privilege, and that in helping them, there are things that I seen that was not so great, because there was an expectation that was sometimes way too high. And you have to send them a certain money amount each time. You have to, because I was supporting their rent, I was supporting their food, I was supporting everything. And then Christmas comes and there's that as well. On the top of that, I have to study and do all that. But I knew that they were not going to understand what I was going through, because I was the first person to come out here and do that. And so I was lenient to them, I guess. But I have seen that it did break the relationship with my mom a lot, because the conversation that we started having was all about money. Send the money, send the rent. The rent is due. Why are you late for rent? I'm expecting that from you. Oh, you're leaving us out here just all dry. I've got all the comments, trust me. But do I regret it? No. No. They have looked after me. They have done their best. When I think about what they've gone through and how much struggles they had to go through. I come from a refugee camp, and my parents have gone and been in refugee camp for almost 20 years just to have that better life. I thank God they're in Canada now, but you know, God sorted it all out, but I was still committed to helping them out during that time that I had. So I have no regrets in that. But there are things that I can say I would correct myself, would be, like you said, you don't have the chance to save. You don't have the chance to give yourself that opportunity to grow financially, because all the money that you bring out is either supporting your own rent, and after that, whatever is left over is sending back home. Because of that, yes, there was a setback in my finances, but that would never give back to what I gave, because everything I gave was out of my heart. Everything that I gave, I worked and I sweated for, just the way as how they looked after me. So I do feel that that will always be something that I will be happy that I did.
Okay, can I quickly ask a question? How much is enough?
That's where I say there needs to be a boundary. They should never know how much you earn.
Who sets the boundary?
You set the boundary. You set the tone, because if you don't set the tone, they will just keep asking. And there's that, because if think about it as yourself, if somebody is giving you $100 every month, you're going to expect $100, and you're going to think, this person can actually give me more. You're going to ask for more. That's just how they think. If your capacity is there, they just want to extend that capacity. And, you know, it's a blessing to them. So you have to set the tone. Set the tone on how much you're going to expend on the things that they need. Set a tone on what you're going to save. Set a tone on how you're going to respond on how they say. And don't let that deter what you have to do for yourself here as well, because they're not here.
Okay, you want to respond to that as well? Okay, and then yourself.
Since we're talking about boundaries, I think the problem is the way that we're raised doesn't allow us to be able to assert boundaries, because if there's that emphasis of hierarchy and power, your child will never feel comfortable, unfortunately, being able to assert boundaries, because they've never been put in a position where they can assert boundaries. Because I guess in little ways where children do try to assert boundaries, and when they're shut down, like I think we discussed it last week, like even things like, oh, I just want a 5-minute break. I had a long day at school. Can I wash the dishes later? That's your child trying to assert a boundary. And if each time they try to do that, you dismiss it, maybe not intentionally, but you do that, then they will not feel like they can go to you. And I think that's where it comes from, this obligation, because at the end of the day, your parents not holding a gun to your head and forcing you to do something, but there is that pressure to, I guess, to act in a certain way, because you've been brought up in this way. And we've talked about it a lot, even last session, where we're brought even things like don't stand over someone when they're talking to me, and things like all of those things. It makes someone feel demeaned and small. And like one of the questions was talking about the workplace, and I think that's when it comes into, that follows them into life and into work, because then if they're not getting that validation from their parents, they're going to look for it somewhere else. And that's how people end up in cycles of abusive relationships. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. They feel bullied because they don't know how to assert themselves. They don't have to say, no, I'm not okay with this, because the very people that are meant to be their safe place for them to do that and practice those skills are telling them that doing that is disrespectful in a way. And I think it comes down to, even though that's how you're raised, I think it's easy to just say no, but we can't say no. And I think that's where it keeps coming. Genuinely, we don't feel like we can say no, because saying no equals being ungrateful. It equals not recognizing what your parents sacrificed for you. It equals not feeling like you're contributing to the household and things like that. And your parents will tell you that when you say no. It's not just, okay, oh, you said no, that's fine, it's your money. That's never the conversation. It's like that's from my own experience and from my friends' experience and most of the young people I know. It's never the conversation. And even if it is, it's your money, it'll end up being this whole attitude thing. And they're not going to talk to you, or they're going to ignore you in the house and things like that. So it's like you're saying that, yes, I want you to come to me and feel free, but your actions are showing otherwise. And I think children recognize that, and that's how they act the way they do.
Okay, sister, maybe I see you trying to respond to that. Let's
So
hear you.
I just want to ask, because the Gen Z seems like they can say no to parents, but at work they can't say no. What's going on? If you, to us, you are able to say no, but when you go to work,
If you're told
It's vice versa.
We're
eh?
not saying no, we're not saying that actually. Sorry.
No, you respond. You,
So
you said.
we're not saying that actually. That's the thing. We're not saying that. We're saying that because of the experience we experienced
No,
with
what
you.
she's saying is that how come that saying no to parents is something that is being encouraged by the Gen Z,
Yeah.
but it's like in your workplace you cannot say no to your manager.
No, we can't say no. That's
So
the
they're
thing.
saying they can say
We
no.
can't say no. Yeah, because we don't have any personal relationship with our manager. They're just person we work with at that time. Yeah.
Okay, well, there's response there. Let's hear Sister Rebecca, and then let's hear Sister Faith.
It
Yes.
depends on the situation. You can say no because it's your right. Because you're right, you can say no. And it depends on the situation.
Okay, okay, Sister Faith, let's hear you. Sister Rose, did we see your hand up as well? Okay.
I'm just saying it's the same thing. There's Workfare Australia. There are rules and laws that guide you as a staff. So if I feel uncomfortable to do something, I'll tell my manager, my team leader, my manager, whoever it is, sorry, I feel uncomfortable doing this, so I can't do it. And there's a law that guides me, because if we go to court, something
So
definitely
there's
is
a law that
protecting
protects
me.
you.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Let's hear from you, Sister Rose.
So having worked in the human resources industry for quite a few years, what I have observed, it's not really an issue with the Gen Z that are unable to say no. They're raised being taught how to say no in the schools. This is why at home you sometimes will struggle with them, because they're taught wherever it is that they go, whether it's in the daycare, whether it's in primary school, high school, university, everything around us in this environment tells us you can speak up. Everyone that you're talking to is at your equal playing level. The people that I've seen struggle with it while in that industry is the older generation. Why? Because your background and the way
So
that
you are speaking as a human resource professional.
Yes.
What you've observed. Go ahead,
Yes. So from what I've observed, it's the older generation that struggle with this. And I don't know if the question that you asked was around, yes. So the reason why I raised that is because from what I've observed, it's the older generation that struggles with saying no, or standing up for themselves, or finding out what their rights are and actually speaking up for them, because all they're thinking is, oh my God, if I say no, I'm going to get fired. If I speak up, I'm going to get fired. And then unfortunately, in the homes, they don't realize that you're trying to teach and instill those same values that you have which are hurting you in the workplace to your children. Because there's so many people who are older than me that I've had to coach through how to actually, like, if you get a letter where people are asking you to do unreasonable things, there's ways that you can actually respond to that. You don't have to be, oh, this is my manager, I need to watch how I talk to them, I need to, not say certain things. You can talk to them because they're your equal in that workplace. If anything, their job is to make sure that you're okay. So if you're not okay, it's okay to speak up. But what I found is that the older generation, particularly people from ethnic backgrounds who've been taught that when an elder speaks or when someone who is in a higher position speaks, you can't say anything. You have to just keep quiet and take it and move on. That's the same kind of, upbringing or behavior that unfortunately and unintentionally probably you're trying to instill in your children, which I'm saying that's not right because it does come back to bite them in the bottom later on.
Sorry, let's get one more response, then you respond. We hear you respond, yes.
Hello. I would just like to add that in the workplace with the policies and how people interact with their employees or the managers, those have changed over time. And even till date, they still keep updating it. So that doesn't say that tomorrow they cannot change it back to say you don't have any right to challenge your boss, because it does happen that they change it tomorrow that you don't have any rights in stand. So you have to also be constantly careful what you do in the workplace, because each time you do or say something, they ask you, are you sure you want to proceed? And you have to be absolutely sure. At home, they're just trying to give you basic foundation on how you should interact with someone who's above you. If you respect them, they usually will not frown upon you, even if they don't really like you, but just because you've given them that little bit of respect.
Before you respond to that, so I know you want to respond. You want to respond to that? Okay, let's have him respond. Then you respond to the others. Yes, yes. Go ahead, please.
I totally agree with what you're saying when it comes to the respect part of thing, but this is first-hand experience. I've managed to be in the same place with my dad, and someone was bullying me, and all I was told was be nice to them and respect this person. And I have to work with them in harmony, because these are the things that I'm getting taught at home, right? But they were not working. I kept on being bullied. I had to work with that same person, while to some extent even my mental attitude was so bad that even if I saw something about to hurt them in a workplace, I would have let it happen. You know what I mean? So that's where we are sort of trying to do some of these things that we learn. And I ended up having to go and stand and talk to this person and, address them, which ended up blowing the whole thing. It went to HR and, people had to have interviews and all that stuff. But if I didn't do that, nothing would have stopped. If I kept on respecting this person, giving them a smile, working with them in harmony, I'm the one who was just hurting in the back end. But what I'm getting from home is respect that person.
Okay, so back to...
I think there's a way, because each work has got like a bullying act, so you can still respect the person, but you can still take action and go and report that person. At home, we just teach you to be respectful. You don't have to be rude because someone's doing bad things to you, but there's a channel that you can actually address that. And I was replying to sister that was saying, because at home we are being taught to be respectful. That's why at work sometimes we can't say anything. That's why I was saying, how can you not say it when you have got, like at home you can say no? Why at work you can't say no? That's why I was saying, why I didn't say. Because you are saying the way we are brought to home, like the way we are taught to home, we end up being bullied at work.
Okay, yes. Let's hear hear more of your response. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to add to what Sister Mabel said with regards to behavior that we get taught at home. So, of course, we can't get into nitty-gritties of how do you have got to, interact with someone at work. The only thing that we can actually teach our children to do is to be respectful. But being respectful does not mean that you have got to be abused at work. You know, you can still settle matters at work in a respectful manner, and the right disciplinary action is going to be taken. So it doesn't mean that, no, you don't need to be respectful. You might have been offended, but still manage that in a very respectful manner. Then with regards to money, maybe parents demanding money, which is very weird. But I was actually going to say, let's not forget that we're planted in families for a reason. You might actually be a breadwinner. So you have got to actually check and say, okay, are my parents, what sort of situation? Do they want this money because maybe they might be evicted if you don't actually pay for that? But if they just ask for money when you know that their situation is so good, you don't necessarily have to give them that. Or what you've got to do is invest it somewhere else, then they know that, because there's a difference between you are not doing it, you are not communicating what you want to do with your money. So the parents, the only time when they actually ask you to contribute, because they think that you're just abusing money. But if you actually tell them exactly what you want to do.
That's not true at all. That is not true.
Wait, calm down. We'll come to you. Hold on. A time will come that you will respond again.
What I'm saying is.
Calm down. Yes, go ahead.
What I'm saying is, say you are saving money, which is fine. Yeah. But because you are not communicating, they might not even know that you are saving money. There might be something big that you want to do. So let's share. That's your family. Share your goals, what you want to do. Then, like if they have to assist you, they might even assist you. You might be surprised that where you think that they want your money, they can even give you money to speed up tuition of that. Because they know.
Okay, yes, let's hear from you. Just we'll come to you. Calm down. Samantha will come to you. Let's go ahead, stay.
I disagree with Papa John or something like that. I disagree, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are some parents who are never satisfied. As there is a speaker who said, set boundaries from the word go. Okay? And you are overseas, let's say, and the parents are at home. They think when you are overseas, there is money. You are sitting on money. Okay?
That means you are overseeing money.
All the trees in Australia, they are full of money. I'm coming from that background. I used to be a very best. I was a very best daughter-in-law. Even my father-in-law will stand here and testify about me. Best daughter-in-law. I bought him a car when I was here. A truck, a T35 truck. When I was in Australia, I bought him. Because I knew their child is the first child. And they're poor people. And being a daughter in this family, I wanted them to have something to say thank you. We worked so hard. Our child went overseas. And with thanking them being our parents. We know they're still our parents. They pray for us. And their prayers. And they still have authority above us. They were placed like that by God. Okay? We bought them this car. If I tell you today, I think the chicken doesn't even go in there now. After he broke that car, he got my own BMW that I never used myself. He took it out of the garage and he used it in the remote areas roads. When I went home, I got the key and I went to the car. With this dream of driving my BMW, it did not start. Why? Everyone is saying it was starting yesterday. It was starting day before yesterday. And later on we find out they drove it with no water, no oil, no water, and it bent everything. There are some parents who are greedy. They never say thank you. Set boundaries, my dear. Mom, this is what I got and I can't give you more than this. I have got $50 and this is what I have. Mom will be angry. Trust me, they were angry. They took like 3 years without talking to me. But through prayers, I prayed until they come back. We are back together. But my money now, I don't cry like I used to. Even my boys will always say, Mom, we are not going to do what you did. Because they will see me crying. I don't have money to give them enough food, but I've sent $200 back home. Set boundaries. Parents, there are some who are born greedy, okay? It's not an obligation that you have a parent or whatever. As you said, it's not your application to be born. I am not saying disrespect your parents. I am not saying that. Do not disrespect your parents. Set your boundaries. Do not over-pamper them. If you over-pamper them the day you don't have, it's not like that. How did you manage to get it? Or they say there is funeral today. You are on. I'm telling you my experience. There is funeral today. I am on credit cards. I'm sending money. Oh, my daughter-in-law. The day I said I don't have, I was a witch. So set boundaries. From the word go.
I think Sister Carol wants to react from the congregation. Sister Carol, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. And then let's hear from Beauty and then Evangelist. Then we'll come to the Gen Z. Then we'll know why the Gen Z are on fire, Samantha. And then we hear from you. Yes, Sister Carol, we saw you doing your hand like this.
I mean, Ola, you start this one. For me, I feel it's our responsibility to do that much for our parents, because it's not, we can never pay them for carrying us for 9 months. They would have said, I'm not going to give back to you.
Calm down. You will ask that question when they
would
are
have
done.
decided, I'm not going to give back to you. We have poverty. I'm not going to give back to you. And no one will say anything. You will not be here. So, and also for children, like they didn't send us letters to give back to them. So it was our option. So for me, I think we can do that much to send them money because we are privileged. If you don't have, that's fine. But if you have, that's the least you can do. For me, my mom, thank God for my mom, she never asks me for money. She does not ask. I'm an only child, and she doesn't ask. I was even telling Auntie Sophie, my mom does the same thing she was doing since I was a little girl. She's still doing the same business that she was doing. So I didn't struggle. She didn't have too much, but I didn't struggle. I went to school. I went to high school. There was never a day I didn't get school fees. Only I used to hide my school fees so I can get kicked out. That's a story for another day. But that's the least we can do for them. Like for me, I will send money every time. I feel like, okay, let me send. And I do so many other things. I know with family, there's always that thing of family. They say, oh, your mom's sisters, they will call you or send us some money. We have this, we have this. And like for me, I just feel, oh, yeah, let me just send, because that's just how I am. I will just send and send and send. But I understand what Ola is saying, but I won't tell my kids to do that. So Chloe and the siblings, that's their choice to do what they want to do. They don't have to carry that responsibility. So I will carry that responsibility, and it will end with me. For them, because they don't know most of their families now, they don't have that connection. But that's the least we can do, unless your mom is wicked, but that's the least we can do. Send them money. It's not much, $20, $50. Don't wait for them to ask. When you send, even when they don't ask, I feel they won't even ask you. It's not a lot. We are privileged to be here. We are privileged. They worked hard to bring us here. Some of them, they sold their cows and lands for us to be here. So if you are privileged and you have it, why not give it to them, Why not give? You have it. If you don't have, that's fine. But if you have, just do it. Just that little will make a big difference.
Yeah, Sister Carol, well said. Sorry, just a bit. You answered well, but she said, how about when they are demanding specific amount of money for you to give them, especially something that is higher? So what you said is right, but what they are saying is not about giving. It's okay to give, but then when they are like demanding, It's
I will
quite
tell
different.
them I don't have
Yeah.
that much. I have
It's quite
this
different. It can
much.
be really annoying when
That's
someone is demanding.
Okay.
also, just sorry.
Okay, wait. We'll come to you. Calm down. Let's hear from, yes, Evangelist Veronica. Okay, Beauty, then Evangelist Veronica. We'll come to you. Don't worry. You have the floor. Okay. You have the floor to react. Yes. Sister Beauty, go ahead. Okay, Rose.
I think just to be clear, I was just going to echo the same thing that Mama had said. Obviously, the issue is not wanting to help your parents. I don't think there's anyone who wouldn't want to help in some way, shape, or form. And it's like we're going in circles, but the question had been answered where you set boundaries. That's how you stop that from happening. Whether it's not telling them exactly how much you earn. I do have to disagree with my father, Daddy John. I do have to disagree as far as communicating your goals and what you want to do, because if you tell someone who is asking for a certain amount of money that, oh, I'm going to hold on to this because I want to build a house, or oh, I'm going to hold on to this because I want to go on a holiday, all they're hearing is, you have money. You don't want to give us, you have money. So in situations like that, I'm going to ask it like this. Is it okay in situations like that if you feel like I won't say parents, let's not make it too personal. Family members are asking for specific amounts of money from you. Is it okay for you to lie about how much you're earning so that you can control how much you're giving them? Because communicating with them how much you're earning and where your money is going just gives them the right to then comment on where that money is going. I've seen it happen with my parents, and thank God they've stopped that for us as well. But also, before I give you the opportunity to answer, I guess for my sister Ola, we happen to grow in a place where we're fortunate enough that there's opportunities. So I guess for us, if our parents were to come and start demanding money and all of that, that's different. Back home, I know that there's parents, particularly like my grandparents as an example. They grew up in the rural areas. They managed to raise 13 children. They sacrificed a lot for them. But there's no things like superannuation. There's no things like retirement plans for them. So literally, them raising their children is they're investing into their future, because now that they're old, they can't go to the fields anymore. They can't tend to the animals anymore. Where are they going to get income from? It's their children. Of course, it's not okay for them to demand amounts, but if they're in a situation like that, is it okay for them to come back and be like, look, I took care of you. Can you please now take care of me as well? So I guess, question for both.
Okay, yes. Let's hear you. You want to respond to the question she asked?
I think that's a really good point. That's a really good point. You talked about the superannuation. I do feel like back home families do think and see you as an investment of when, and yes, there is no plans for retirement. You are the retirement, technically. You are the retirement. But, it's what the generations before did as well, because grandma didn't go to aged care. Grandma was staying in your house somewhere. You would have a granny flat behind the house, and that's where grandma is, and every children and the grandchildren and everything, and extended families stayed together. So yes, there was that plan. I understand that there is that plan as well. But I feel like the biggest I think we should take from this was just the building of boundaries. You might not think of it as something that we keep saying to you, but please listen to us right now as this group. Yes, boundaries. You are the generation that will start setting it. You are the generation that was setting it. So don't push it back to us. Take it as it is and say, okay, we will set that boundaries and fight for it, because you're going to set another generation behind you. If you don't go through this, anything that a generation doesn't go through and finish through, the next generation will face it. So think of it as that and say, okay, so what am I going to do now to set that boundary for the next generation and allow for this generation to have that room? Continuously fighting back for it.
Let's hear more response from them then. There's, yes.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. No,
yes.
Go ahead with your response.
Okay, yes. So I was just going to some degree disagree with my sister, when she said...
Sister Rose.
Sister Rose, when she said, no, the grandma raised 13 children, which is fine. And they don't have superannuation, that's fine. So when we think about that 13 children, so how many grandchildren does she have? So say, for argument's sake, say every one of them is working, and you are sending her a certain amount from Australia, and you are talking of maybe 26, if not more, grandchildren that are sending money to grandma because that's a superannuation. She'll end up being maybe the richest member in the family. Yeah. So my point then is, what's actually important is to know your role in your family. You know, when we're talking, even setting boundaries, that's fine, but you should actually know exactly what is that you're supposed to do in a breadline. You might be the only one, you know, she might have 50 grandchildren. Maybe you might be the only one that she is going to rely on. So I think knowing exactly what your role is, you might even have money, but maybe your role is not even to send the money back home, because that's not your role. You have got to do other things in the family. But setting boundaries, that's one thing, but knowing your actual role, that's really important too.
Yeah, I want to give an example of boundaries. So I have this sister of mine that was always asking for money. One day I called her and I told her, what business will you like to do? Because I'm not going to be sending you money all my life. I have responsibility. I will not do that. So I asked her what business and how much it will cost. And she told me the amount. I said, okay, I will take some time, save up that money, give it to you. When I give you this money, don't ask me for money again. Except I want to give you, I will give it to you. So after I raised some money, I gave her to start up a business. After like a year or 2 years, yeah, the business, I don't know what happened to it. She started asking for money. She would ask for children's school fees. She would ask for this, ask for that. Then one day I called her. I said, I will give you money for this, but this is the last time you should ever ask me for money. I said, let me tell you something. Anyone who asks me for money doesn't have to be, I don't care who you are, even if you are not my sister or you are not related to me. As long as you are a human being and I know that you have need and I know that I'm in a position to help you, I will help you. Don't think that is your right because you are my sister, that if you ask me for money, I'll give it to you. I told her, I said, no, I can give it to anybody that asks because I want to, not because you are related to me. So I told her, I said, from today henceforth, if you ever ask me for money again, I'll block you. That's what I told her, point blank. And that's what I say to everyone. I said, I will do this for you now, but if you ask me, because sometimes it's like, sometimes it can come from different angles. This is asking, this one is asking. I'm just one person. I'll just tell them the way you don't have to, for you that say, telling someone the amount you earn, you don't need to tell anybody the amount you earn. That's your business. The amount you earn is your business. You don't need to share it because you don't want to give someone money. I will not give you. I don't have to give you a reason why I will not give it to you. I don't want to. That's it. If you are not okay with I don't want to, then that's fine. I gave you in the past. I've been giving you for years. So why is it this one? Why must I explain myself because I said I will not give it to you? I will not give. I will not give. That's it. I don't have. I will not give. Or sometimes when they ask, you just take some time. Maybe somebody asks for $500, you give the person 200, and that's it. So sometimes when you give, like before you know, 2 weeks time they will ask again. Oh, it's like there's a well of money you are fetching from somewhere. So if you don't want to, don't have to. Your body, you've not committed any sin by saying no. Yeah, no is not a sin, and it's not your responsibility to do that. So that's how I set my boundary. I say no.
Yeah. And some people may use that to attack you and say, oh, and she says she's prayerful, she's a Christian, she speaks in tongues every time she goes to church.
Yes.
Now she's so wicked.
And
so
and they even say, oh, like you like what Papa said, you go to church and you don't want to assist us, and you're like, you always like in church, your church is going, your money is going to the church.
They always believe that the church is taking your money.
Exactly. So how do you do that without being respectful if this is coming from your parents? Sorry, disrespectful, sorry.
Without sounding disrespectful.
Yes, without sounding disrespectful. If
how
this is coming from your parents, or
accusation,
or if they even make it a way of like telling you, if you don't do this, then you will know the kind of person I am. Like making it as a threat to your life.
Like cursing you.
When someone is doing that, when someone is threatening you because of your sweat, that person, that is a witchcraft statement as far as I'm concerned. you have to tell the person that this thing you're saying is not right. Yeah, it's a witchcraft statement to tell someone, oh, if you don't do it because you are, no, that's not right, because it's your sweat. You are the one that you go for night shift, you stay awake all night caring for people, you do all manner of whatever you need to do to make
And
your money. So if someone said that to you,
the thing is, you always help, but the time you tell them to wait a little bit, it feels like you've never done anything in
Just
the
like
past.
Sister Yvonne.
Yes,
shared with
it
us.
feels like you've never done anything. Like, there was a situation whereby I was asked to send certain amount. I sent half of it because I spoke to Papa and everything. I sent half of it. The reaction I got was, oh, you gave me this one. What do you want me to use it for? I'm like, I had to ask my stepdad, like, if someone asks you for this amount and you give half of it, how would you react? My stepdad is like, oh, I'll be so thankful that I will even tell the person to maybe not send me the remaining. I will try and get it. But the reaction I got, I felt heartbroken. I even cried. I'm like, this is not what I expected from this person. I was really heartbroken. I even cried. I came to tell Papa and stop. Like, this is not the reaction I know how much I worked for to get that certain amount. For you to now come and tell me, oh, is this, what do you want me to use this amount for? Like, why would you send me? I asked you to send me certain amount and you're sending me this amount. What should I use it for? And you're expecting me to tell you if I got the money or not. I'm like, wow.
what I would do,
The person would have used it to buy glasses.
what me I would do, so if someone says that to me, I will block that person. That's it. That's what I would do. I will block you because you can't. Who said I block my family member? No, I don't have mom, but I block family. My mom would not say that to me. I block family member. I block and unblock. I'm always blocking. I don't
Matthew
care.
18:18. Whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven.
Mama,
Go ahead. Your mic's.
Mama, would you block the person if it was your parent?
The thing is that if it's, let's say I don't have a mom, but if it was my mom, if my mom was alive, I would be sending her money. I would take care of her. That's what I would do, definitely. But when someone like makes it their, what's it called? When it feels like you are obligated, or they make it like they are demanding, and then they are giving you targets. They are putting pressure on you. Then it becomes a problem. If it's my mom, I will just state it to her. Entitlement. I will state it to her that this is the amount I can afford to give you. So you have to manage it in a respectful manner. I will explain to her, this is what I will give you. If I had a mom, probably every month I would be sending her money for upkeep. I would love to do that. Not because I'll be sending her money for upkeep. But then if she wants to make it a witchcraft thing, then there will be a problem.
Matthew 18:18.
Yeah. There
will be a blocking.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, if it's for upkeep, that's understandable because but like when it now turns to like it's a must, it's a demand, like you have to. Like even when you say, okay, give me like couple of weeks, it feels like you have it but you don't want to give it to them. If you tell them, oh, give me a couple of weeks, it feels like you're lying. It feels like you kept it somewhere. You don't want to give it to them. Then they stop talking to you. Anytime they call you, rather than asking you, oh, how is school? What is going on with you and stuff? They're like, oh, you don't want to talk to us because you don't want us to ask you for money. Like, why you don't? Like, I'm like, why not ask me how I'm doing? You don't even know if I'm eating or not. You don't even know if I'm living under a house or not. Like, they'll be like, oh, you don't want to talk to us because you think we're going to ask you for money and stuff like that.
Anybody that says that to me, I'll block you. I don't care who you are.
Blocking ministry.
They said it to me before. My good friend, when I was in uni back home, one day she was calling and I didn't pick call because I was busy. I didn't even know she called. After 2 days, she sent a message, oh, you think I was just calling to check on you. I'm not calling because I want to ask you for money, or you think I want to ask you for money. I didn't even reply. I just blocked her.
Yeah,
because that's a witchcraft statement. I blocked her.
I was told
There's
to
no
leave
point.
here. I was told to leave here because of I'm not sending enough money. That my mates are building house in Africa, building mansion. I was told to leave Australia if I'm not having the money that I need to send to them. I should leave Australia and go to where those people are so I can send the amount of money those people are using to build houses, that I should start buying land. I say, hey!
I think
it's really difficult though when it's your
Block.
parents. It's
Join
really
blocking
difficult.
ministry.
Yeah, so I wanted to say something.
Okay,
just
okay.
quickly.
Gen Z are itchy. Okay,
Let me
after this
finish.
final response, then let's have Gen Z react.
Well, when it comes to relatives and cousins, you can definitely block them. I don't think there's a saying that, but it's really hard when it's a parent. The one thing that really worked for me, I won't lie, like I would not communicate as much. Like it was really difficult to have like someone call you like every single day, reminding you how it's 1 day late. The rent is 1 day late, 2 days late. Oh, it's been 3 days now. So like it was very stressful. And during those times, I won't lie to you, like I was really tempted to just not say anything
become
for a
member
while,
of
just like
blocking
remove
ministry.
myself, from all the, the struggles like that. But it is your parents. The only thing you can do is do as the due diligence at your own time. So what I was doing was limiting my conversations and my communications because I had literally no options. It was either we talk or we fight. There was no hi anymore. It was all about when are you sending it? There was literally no hi. So when it reached to that level, the only thing you can do is protect your mind as well and your sanity. Just remove yourself for as long as you can, and when you can, just because we do feel that obligation still, as they are still your parents.
You do what you can do and leave the rest. That's when it involves parents. Do what you can do. Just leave them. Let them keep talking. Yeah.
I'll pray for them. Okay, let's hear from Gen Z. Samantha, yes?
See, I just want to add and say that I do kind of agree with Daddy John. I know a little bit controversial.
On what?
On setting boundaries and learning your place in the family. Sometimes you need to place boundaries with understanding. You need to place boundaries with the understanding of who you are in the family. Once upon a time, I was asked to help pay the bills in the household, and I hated it. I was like, I'm a child. Why am I paying the bills? Why do I need to help out in the house? People should be helping me, that type of thing. Until I had a chat with a very wise person. She was like, you live inside of this house. What's the problem with you helping? What's the problem with you also relieving the burden that, a parent might be carrying? Because I understood also when you grow older and you get a job, your parents start trusting you with certain responsibilities in the house. So yes, you can set your boundaries, but also understand that my parent is coming to me not to lay a burden on me, but they're coming to me because they trust me. They believe that they've raised their child. I know, but I'm just offering a different perspective.
Go ahead.
I'm just
Gen Z,
offering a
calm
different
down.
perspective. And also in terms of like sending money back home, I've also struggled with that because my parents like to give my number out to relatives that I haven't talked to since I was 6 years old, just because we're family. And they'll say, hi, how are you? How's work? Immediately, it's not even, they want to know if I'm working. They want to know if I'm making money. I have a cousin, she's the same age as me, and because, things are different back home, she does have a child, right? So she's asking me, I said happy birthday to her son, and immediately she FaceTimed me, and then she sent me a message saying, I need to buy my son clothes that fit him. But she doesn't know that I see him on WhatsApp all the time, and he looks very much okay as he is. So there is that expectation from people back home, and I have been told in my family also, what you're doing is not right because you are a Christian. You're going to church, all your money is going to tithe and offering. Why is all your money going to this, and you can't even help people who are your relatives? To me, which I'm very confused because the last time I talked to this person, I was 6 years old. So there's a lot of pressure there that I do feel like some parents can relieve their children of, and I really do hope that it ends with, unfortunately, the Gen Power generation. I understand that there are people who need help, and it's a struggle sometimes wanting to help someone genuinely because you can tell that obviously I'm more privileged than this person, but the way that they're coming off is not appropriate. The way that they're coming off, it's like, because again, my parents, they do that. They send the money, they're very kind, they're one call away. If you need anything, call me. But me, on the other hand, I'm not like that. I'll be added into a group chat. I'll just look at the messages and say hallelujah, amen, and go. Because I understand that I've seen the way that my parents have suffered. I just want to say that children, our parents, we see the way that you work hard and you're providing not only for your household but for the people back home. We see it. I've seen it, and that's something that's a boundary I set within myself without even having a discussion with my parents, that this is something that I don't want to do because I want to live the life that I want to live. I want to be able to provide for my family, for my children, the way that I want without having to worry about someone else. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, yes.
I kind of want to reel this conversation back to communication because that's why we're up here. I've heard there was something Deacon John mentioned, but a lot of the power generation have mentioned this. And he said, we don't have to send you to school, right? And other people say, well, you know, we feed you, we do all this. In Australia, you have to send your kids to school. And please let me land, right? You have to send your kids to school, you have to feed them, you have to give them a house. Why? You don't do one of these three things, the DCP is coming to take your kid because they're saying you're not taking care of your kid. We are grateful for the things that you do, right? And that gratitude doesn't come from having parents that dangle it over your head and say, I do this for you, I do this. When we go to school, the reason I know this stuff, you have to, is because at school they tell you, hey, your parents have to send you to school. Your parents have to feed you. Your parents have to dress you. And they tell you not as an obligation to your parents. They tell you, hey, you're worthy of these things as a kid. Now, when you go home and your parents saying, oh, I don't have to do these things to you, it's like hearing someone say, you are not inherently worthy of this thing. You are lucky I am doing that for you, right? And the reason I want to reel this into communication, what made me grateful for my education was the teachers that would look at me and say, Percy, you are doing so well, you go so far. That did not come from home first. That came from school first, and I'll be very honest. In maths, it'd be like, oh, you know, you can do these things. Even they'd be showing me in uni, they have these courses. There's this course out here. That's what made me think, wow, I'm so grateful for my education. Having parents that tell you, you're lucky you have this, that doesn't make you grateful. It questions whether you are worthy of that thing. Even at school, even though I have people that encourage me at school, I would now go and I write things. I'm like, oh, I can't show someone this isn't good enough. Because that worth, that questioning of your worth, it seeps into every area of your life. And I want you guys to know, we might not say thank you all the time. We might seem like we're taking it for granted. The way to get us to take it for granted is not challenging whether or not we are worthy of that thing. It's speaking life through that thing. You want to encourage your kids in school by saying they can go far in school. You want to encourage your kids in being in their home by making them feel comfortable in your home. That's when you now grow up and you want to give back to your parents. You want to give back to the people that spoke life to you.
Okay, sorry. I know I'm supposed to be neutral, but I can still ask questions. Listening to what you just said, my question to Gen Z generation is, what do you then want from the parents? What do you want them to do? Should they not rebuke you? Should they not advise you? Should they not correct you? Should they always just applaud you because of your mental health? As a parent, what do you want them to do? You want them to just look at you, give you everything you need. You don't do the dishes. Oh, it is okay. We don't want you to be stressed mentally. Just we do it for you. What do you, as a parent, put yourself in their shoes?
I think.
Let's say you've got your son, okay, and he's of, let's say, the same Gen Z, the age. How will you manage his behaviors if he's not showing appreciation? He doesn't want to do his homework. He doesn't want to assist in the home. He wants to stay up late playing video games, and is using the internet. It's not even helping mom, not helping dad. Put yourself in the shoes of a parent. How will you manage that child?
I think the issue is not in the rebuking. It's not.
No, just tell. It's a scenario.
Yeah,
tell us how you are going to manage that child to become a better person.
Well, I will speak from my experience and how it was managed for me, right? One reason I'm so grateful for my education, and why I say here, education is an obligation, is because I've heard stories from my parents about how their parents didn't have to do that for them. Because a lot of the frustration that then makes you say, oh, I do this for you, is because they're thinking of what they grew up in where that wasn't done for them. Say that. So you know, when I was growing up, my parents didn't even want to send me to school. We didn't have the money to school. That's what makes kids then reflect. don't undermine kids. Kids can reflect. It really made me think.
We need you to handle this scenario now.
Yeah, okay.
You've got, you as a mother now, you've got this son that wants to be playing video games, doesn't want to do homework, it's not helping with home chores, and he doesn't want you to raise your voice at him. How will you manage your son? Just tell us. Let us, okay, maybe we can get somebody role play now. Let us see how you handle. Please come. Yes, in the middle, come. Because sometimes it's easier said than done. Okay, as Gen Z, we want this freedom. But let us bring you into their shoes now. Let us see how you handle it. Because to handle this, you have to ignore the frustration, the pain. You know, you have things to say as a parent. You know, we can't pretend like you are not feeling bad. That this guy, every time after eating meal, he throws the bowls, spoons under the bed. His video game is with his laptop there. He doesn't want to come out. He's not interested in church. You are a parent now. You are careful. You don't want to hurt his mental health, his feelings. You want him to do well in the future. So that is your son. So that is.
I want to add, Pastor, I'd like to add, and you also taught him how to be tidy. You taught him as he was growing up how to do those things. You taught him. Not that he doesn't know how to do it, but
so that is your son. He will sit before you.
You have to speak live.
Okay, sit facing her. Sit facing her. So we're going to watch you now train up your son in the way that he should go.
And setting expectations.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You talk to him, not us. We are just observing. We are learning from you, the blessed parent. We want to learn from you. Go ahead. Okay. See, let me give you a phone. While she's talking, be chatting and playing your video game. When she's talking.
What's his name?
You give him name is your son. You give him name is your son.
Okay.
We were not there when you gave birth to him. Give him.
Oh, Jesus. Alan. Okay, Alan, I can see that you were struggling.
As much as you can. Don't be obedient. Do your thing.
Oh, my God. No, but now you're prompting him. Because
you don't owe any... You don't need to listen to her, okay?
Oh, my God.
You are Gen Z. Your mental health... Put your ear... good. Put your earphone. Your mental health is very sensitive. We don't want her to hurt your mental health. If not, die 000 will come and will take you to child protection.
The mental health professional has taken over.
No. Why is the mental health professional taking over? Is that what? Who is Willie? Beauty, I will. Are you able to act it? Okay, no, do you have a son and a daughter? Beauty, come. I've got, no, don't worry, relax. It's easy when as a parent you have 4 children. And you are saying mental health. You don't even think of your parents' mental health. Okay, Beauty, come. I know Beauty is going to, if you have chewing gum, put it in your mouth, come. If you have chewing gum, chew gum. You have a job, then you know how the parents feel. They will come from night shift with red eyes, and you say they should come and embrace you.
So what's the scenario?
Beauty, sit down. The scenario is that they want to be free. They want to eat your food, free everything. They will not do your dishes. They will know. You have to manage their mental health. These are Gen Z. They are the flying generation. Okay, you can sit, you can stand. We parents now will watch you train them in the way they should go.
Okay, full production. Okay, so I came from work. Dishes in the sink. Okay. This is how I do in real life. This is how I do it at work. Yeah. Alan, can you take your earphone out? Can I speak to you? Hello?
But, yeah. But the thing is, you guys are dictating how he's acting like you're not even letting him.
I'd walk in and be like, Alan, this is
That's how you got hired.
Take your earphones out. Your phone, I bought this phone for you. That's how this is why they don't say anything.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, do it the calm way, please.
Wait.
Do it the calm way. We're trying to learn here. We're trying to learn.
Okay. Beauty, Alan, I know you're busy right now. Beauty, can you sit down? I want to talk to you. 5 minutes? I haven't really talked to you guys. Okay. I haven't really checked in with you guys today. I just want to see how everything's been going.
Mom, I don't think I want to talk right now. You see, I'm on my phone and I'm busy, so probably when I'm done, okay?
Okay, what's that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to talk. It's my right. I don't want to talk.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just add, okay, the reason why we're struggling with this, these kids, if they're Gen Z, the way they're behaving is a result of how they reacted to being raised. Where we're coming from is we would have raised them in a way where they wouldn't start to react like this.
We are not waiting for explanation.
Okay. Can you give them permission to actually respond to me?
Yes,
Because
we are
most of
giving
your
them mics.
children-
All right. Let's get it down to how you started. Okay, you started. So what we're trying to really see is like
The
that
approach.
is your child, and
Yeah.
you're trying to calm them down. Show us strategies. We want to see the actual strategies. So we're not really trying to banter about. Yeah,
Okay.
just show us what you can do.
The strategy.
Like, how are you going to get our attention? How are you going to, like, talk to us just like what you were saying? So you, like, she can't tell us to calm down. That means we are not even acting it right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
And
if
you
I see
guys-
my kid on the phone,
Yeah?
and I'm like, hey, Beauty, can you please put the phone down so we can have a chat? I just want to talk to you and your brother very quickly.
Right now, I'm not in the right mental frame to talk. Can I talk later?
What happened? I'd like to know.
I'm going through some mental stress. I really don't want to talk right now. Okay?
Yeah, like, did something happen at school? I know you said that.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, can I check
I
in
just,
with you later?
I just don't want to talk about it, Mom. Please, let me be. Thank you. Oh my God.
Okay. What about you, Alan? Can I talk to you quickly?
No, I don't feel like it.
It seems like both of you are in a very bad mood. Alan, is there anything that happened that made you
Did you see what
put you in
happened
a
at
bad
school
mood?
today?
Yeah, it was crazy. Nah, we just don't want to talk.
Continue, please continue. We want it to resolve. Like we want it to go through the whole process until you resolve it.
Okay. Fast forward 1 hour later. Because if this was my children, and genuinely, if my children were responding to that and they're in that much of a bad mood, that me as a parent, if I have a good relationship with my children, I would know that something is wrong right here.
Something is wrong. Try and
Something
get it
is
out,
wrong.
though.
I addressed it. You didn't want to talk to me. I left you alone.
Okay.
I came back. I knocked on your door. I'll start with you because you were obviously more upset. Hey,
Yeah,
Beauty.
come in.
Oh.
Yeah, hi, Mom.
Yeah, I know earlier when I tried to talk to you, you said that you're feeling a bit upset. I wanted to give you your space, but I just want to know what's happening with you. I want to make sure you're okay. I'm really worried. I came home today. I know you might have had a really long day of school, but when I came home, I was really frustrated, and it's hard for me not to take that out on you guys because I know I have you know your chores, and I did tell you guys what to do. But before I sit and yell at you, I just want to know, is there a reason you haven't done your chores yet? Because you do seem upset, and I want to make sure we deal with that first.
Not really. I'm still upset, but can I do it like in an hour time, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure, you can do it in an hour.
Okay, thank you.
Can we sit and talk about some of the things that happen at school?
Not really. I don't want to talk about it. Sorry.
Okay.
Not right now. Maybe tomorrow or probably later.
Okay.
But
Well,
not right now.
that's fine. I can't force you to tell me anything, but I just want you to know that you can always come to me. At the end of the day, I'm your mother.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever.
here for you guys. See, what African child is saying whatever? Like,
It's okay.
But that's the reality, though.
that's not the like, okay, can I just say, when I interact with my mom and have these conversations, when I'm sitting there and I'm not talking or I'm not responding, and if something bad happened, almost always, if they see and if they actually see that you're making a genuine effort to see if they're okay, maybe at the start it would start with like, because they're not used to that. They're not used to you checking on them. So I feel like a lot of the times, teenagers especially, they will react to you that way, like, I'm on my phone right now, or I'm listening to music.
Can we add just to this scenario, you've been asking for the past 2 weeks for the dishes to be washed by the time you get home. That same scenario that we were talking about last week, something simple. You've been asking for 2 weeks for the dishes to be washed. Every time you come home, they're on their phone, they're not washing those dishes. How would you approach it? And every time you've asked for the past week, she's been responding like that.
Okay,
you ask again, she responds like that again. Yeah. How would you deal with that?
I think that's the point when discipline needs to be put in action, but discipline does not always have to be aggression, and I think that's the problem. You can discipline your kids without beating them. You can discipline your kids without screaming at the top of their lungs.
So the discipline that you probably implement to be take their phones away, and when you do that, usually this generation will explode and most likely wreck the house.
Can I just say something? What we've just observed is that it takes time. Yeah. So you couldn't fix it, right? It takes time.
That's why.
No. It's a good note. I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I actually do like this idea, by the way. Driving it home, I like this idea where you say that we have this conversation where we supposedly are agreeing with each other. The problem is we're not getting to the point where we're agreeing with each other. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. That gap that we have is blocking us. So I feel like if we could all agree that there is that barrier and still give room for that is not going to take 2 weeks. It's not going to take 1 month. It's not going to take 6 months. It might take a year, years. Yeah. I'm telling you this because I have gone through it and I understand what you're trying to say.
No, the thing is, that's why I was hesitant to act it, because I know it can't be fixed in one conversation. So I was like, this thing is just going to fuel the frustrations more than it's going to solve it. Where we're coming from is communication is an active thing, right? Like she said, her saying, can you talk to me 2 weeks later, it doesn't end the conversation. That's still a continuing of the conversation. I think that's where we're coming from. Because this thing of trying to fix it in one conversation, it's not going to happen. Especially when it's built up in years to the point where this blockage has been built. You can't break down something that took years to build up.
Yeah, so.
Can I just say something? Yes. Communication barrier is there. Yes, as parents, we are traumatized by our children. We haven't been traumatized by our parents back home. That trauma, you think we grew up, we had trauma. That wasn't the trauma. The trauma, we got it here from the children. That's where the trauma, we got it. Yes. Our children have been traumatizing us so much. Even setting the rules. Those are the simple rules. Can you do your homework? It's just a simple instruction. Can you wash the dishes? Simple instruction.
Simple, eh?
Just simple. And then if the children are not listening to that, it gives us frustration and all that thing. That's why they were thinking, oh, mommy is shouting. But it's just that frustration, like, why can't you just listen to a simple instruction? Washing the dishes, doing your homework. That's your homework. That's your life. We are just trying to encourage you to have good life. Yes, if parents here in Australia are demanding money, I'm changing my topic now, from their children, it's a mistake. You don't need to demand money from your children because we are here to make them have better life. That's why we brought them here. But myself, because I've got my parents back home, I need to do my responsibility. Because I know my role as a child. Like myself, I'm talking about myself, the way how I grew up. I know when I first met the John, that was the first thing I told you. I told you that I'm going to, if you want to marry me, are you able to take care of my siblings? Because I've got a role to take care of my siblings and my parents. And you said yes. That's why you see Mavis here. I came with maybe here. Because Daddy John was knowing I was taking care of my siblings. And he allowed me to brought maybe with me here. That's why she's here. That's why Percy is here as well. If he was going to say no, maybe wasn't going to be here, Percy wasn't going to be here. You see, sometimes you need to know your role. I'm going back to what they say, oh, is it an obligation to look after your parents? It's not, it depends with you giving. It's not something you need to be told to. It should come deep inside your heart. You need to know as a child that I've got my parents. I can't eat everything here and my mother is struggling back home. My mother doesn't need to tell me that she doesn't have food. That would be a mistake. And then for them to question you, if you see them questioning you, there are some parents, I agree, there are some parents who are very greedy. Yes, that one I agree. They don't, those ones set your boundaries. Even if they get angry, they can get angry with you for 2 months and then later on they get used to it. That's it. Set your boundaries. And you don't need to take care of our brothers, of our nephews, our nieces. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is here to make your life better and for your children and for your future generation. That's why we brought you here. I won't be accepted. Now the problem with our children, they come to us with their own ideas, their own mind. Then when we say no, it's a problem. Because they've got that. And then if we keep on validating your mistakes, you won't be able to change. Amen. You need to accept it. There's a problem. In accept it, there's a problem. There's communication barrier. Yes, it is there. But we don't need to validate our mistakes. Because if we keep on validating them, we won't change and move forward. Thank you.
Okay, can I just come in with this perception? Is it possible that the Gen Z generation are beginning to mentally esteem the advice of their teachers above their parents?
Yes.
Are they beginning to feel that, oh, the teachers are there for them while the parents are against them?
Yes.
Because that's what it's beginning to look like. I will have to obey my teacher is better than obeying my parents. My parents are old school. They are Africans. They want to be read. Because that's what it's beginning to sound like.
Maybe just to support what you've just said,
yes. We'll come to you.
Apostle.
I'm just raising an idea.
I think the question that need a solution for at all ages is why does a particular individual belong to a certain family? You know, teachers, that's fine, they'll come in as destiny helpers. But there is a particular reason, there is something that you've got to learn through the family that you've actually been brought through. Because God being a God who can, out of impossible, bring miracles out of it. He could have just got you to go through that family, even that teacher. You just become, the child of that teacher. But the reason why you are in that family, there's something that you have got to learn from there. Why those parents, there is something that they're supposed to teach you. They also have got their duty to actually teach you something. So if you are missing on that opportunity to learn and say, okay, what is this opportunity? Why have I been brought to this family? What is that I need to learn? I can't learn anything from my parent, from my father, from my mother. No, the teacher will tell me this. For sure, they've got something to do. But the 1 million question that you should be asking for, if my family is so bad, why was I brought through this family? That's what you should actually be seeking for.
Okay, I think I'll just add this, then have you guys respond. Samantha, then yourself, I know you're on fire right now. I think the Gen Z generation need to understand the uniqueness of families, because there are some ideologies that are given to us from school, and we expect all families to adjust to, just like what is happening today, where in the name of freedom, human rights, a lot is beginning to happen. There are some countries that are beginning to approve children choosing their he or she or this and that. And some of these young people, after undergoing the blade, the operation stuff in their maybe 18, 19, they're already angry with their parents. You know, whatever I said as a kid, I did not mean it. Why did you allow me go start taking pills and now blah blah blah? So after responding to this, I would like us to quickly discuss the way forward. Okay, how do we move on from here? But take note, I'm not supporting them. Okay, I'm just asking questions that are obvious. Yes, Sister Samantha, let's hear from you. Then let's hear from the rest.
I think something that we need to realize is, as our parents who are coming from Africa and wherever we come from, there's a certain way you were brought up. And the things that you were taught may not necessarily work in this generation anymore. You're raising different children in a different environment. And we've heard, even Jesus said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And there's a saying that says, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So now you're in another country trying to teach your children who, there was a point that was raised last week of your children are at school most of the time, you are at work. There are people who are teaching your children and you don't have time to teach your children because you've gone to work, you're tired from work, etc., etc. So there is that indoctrinating that is now happening in our generation. It's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing because there are things that your children are being taught that are going to help them in the future. But there are also things that your children are being taught that are not going to necessarily help them. So with that being said, I think that making time and actually sitting down and teaching your children, making sure that your children know you as a parent and can trust you as that adult figure will help you with that indoctrination. But another thing that I learned from the scenario that was put on stage here, I don't think my Gen Zers are going to be very happy with me, is that being strict and being firm with your children is helpful and it is necessary. Gentle parenting will not always work for some children. I'll be so honest, because some people, gentle parenting is beautiful, but there needs to be that authority. Your children need to understand and to see you as a parent. And that is why so many children now these days are looking forward and looking up to their teachers, because they're now starting to feel like they're their parents. They're starting to feel that parentship from their teachers. But that's all I wanted to say.
So it's important to create that balance, isn't it? Okay, let me just quickly put in this scenario. I saw a video where this, think about 10-year-old or 7-year-old boy gave his mom a hot slap. I think it was in a school. You know, I think he did something naughty and his mom was invited in. While his mom was like, you can't do this, he gave his mom a hot slap. Well, it's Caucasian. And he was like, shut up, mom. And there were reactions from the black Americans and the parents. You saw their face, woo! Some of them taking out their flip-flops and say, woo, this can happen in the black home and all whatnot. So, but yeah, so I know some of us have seen that video. Yeah, so, yes, go ahead, please. Let's hear your reactions to, yes. Yes, you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
We have spoken about all this like last 2 weeks ago. You said at the beginning of the question, ask questions that you want to hear from the Gen Power. I just wanted to put that up because there are other things you can talk, that we should explore. Like I have so much questions as a Gen Z that, you know, all this we talked about it last 2 weeks Tuesday.
Yeah, so ask the question.
So
that's why the floor is
my
yours.
question,
But there's still
sorry to cut short. My question, as in regards to like Gen Power or Gen X or baby boomers, is regards to in relation to marriage or relation to marriage or family. There's two parts of the question. The first question is why is it that Gen Power is so quick to sweep things under the carpet in a way of not shaming the family or shaming the family's name? That's my first question.
Example?
Sweep things under the carpet, especially in marriage and courtship, for example. Hide things, like it's an idiom, like sweeping things under the carpet, like hiding. Yeah, exactly, under the carpet, like sweep things under the carpet.
Yeah, so
that's my first question. Don't shame the family name.
Like
don't shame us. Don't shame
anything that you don't want to share in public. You're hiding it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
that's the first question. The second question is that there's also like a bit of pressure from Gen a power to Gen Z, especially the ones that in like 90s or like 2000, early 2000s, like when I was your age, I was married. When I was your age, I was doing this. When I was your age, I was doing that. However, they like not understand the current climate that we're currently in, just like navigating those two things. Because honestly, sometimes when I see some marriages, there's beautiful marriages in this church which I'm really happy about. But some marriages, there's some single married women in marriages. And it's not quite encouraging as a Gen Z to see that and be like, as Bible says that you will be in the marriage for a long time, except the person either does adultery or like is not of Christ, and you can divorce. That's two ways you can divorce, as per my knowledge of the Bible. You're gonna be in this marriage for a long time, but you see the one party doing everything. It's actually not quite encouraging as a Gen Z to see that. So those are the two things I'm seeing, like really, and I need to ask the Gen Power in regards to those two things.
The question, we didn't get the question properly. Like that of at my age,
Sorry, before you react to it, they want to react to the last part of the discussion. Then the questions will start coming. Yes.
Just to react, I think the question before was about teachers.
Yes.
And so I don't think it's Gen Z or children have more respect for their teachers. I think they see their teachers as the people that are extending kindness that their parents don't. Because at the end of the day, the people that children interact the most with is either their parents or their teachers. And if parents are spending the majority of the time at work, like at work all the time I have kids come to me just like telling me about their weekend because like they don't think anybody would care to listen, or even just sitting there like asking questions out of curiosity. Most of the time the teacher is that person for them, or it's someone at the school. And like I said before, if you are not validating your child, like you don't have to validate what they're bad at. That's not what it is. You can recognize someone's strengths and their weakness. But as a parent, and I think the way I will parent, I don't think you should like talk about someone's weaknesses more than their strengths. And I think as a Christian, that's also important. Look at people's strengths. And it is about balance. And yes, you can't gentle parent, but your first approach should not be aggression. It should not be anger, because children remember that. So I understand there are situations where children can be stubborn. They do not listen, and you can talk to them sternly. Because how are the teachers at your children's school doing it? You know, like your kids are interacting with people in the world every day. These people cannot beat them. They cannot talk to them, you know, but your children are respecting them and they're talking to them because that they trust that the person values what they have to hear. So I think it has nothing to do with a comparison of respect. I think your children would extend you the same respect if they feel like it's given to them too. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think she touched on it a lot. I would say from my perspective, and I feel like this is a thing with a lot of kids, the pivotal conversations I had in my life that I feel like shaped me in forms of encouraging who I am now came from teachers more than they came from someone else. I think that degree of separation that your teacher has from you allows them to see you. They are in the way your parents can't, right? Our teachers don't see all our mess. We know that. They don't see your dirty room. They don't see you not doing chores. Fine. We can agree that parents get to see the rough side. But the fact that you're walking into a space where from the second you're in there, they're encouraging you. A lot of teachers are really great in that way. That's what they're there to do. A lot of kids don't want to learn, right? So for you to force a kid to want to learn, there has to come that point of encouragement of, you can do this. You will be great. Hey, this might not work for you, but I see that you're talented in this area. And especially with, I would say from a creative kid as well, because it's really easy for African parents to push your kid if it looks like they're going to be a doctor. But I was never that way inclined. Yes, I had the academics, but my teachers would look at me and be like, you're so creative in this way. You could really do these things. And I'd go home and feel like I can't talk to my parents about that. Like me at 10, going to my mom to say I wanted to be a fashion designer, never. Even sometimes you bring it up in little ways where you're like, I like music. Music is not a career, like something else. I like art. Art is not a career, like something else. But where your teachers can see that and be like, hey, there's jobs in this way. I think that's where that comes from, is we don't feel like our parents respect and motivate us in the areas that we liked. It doesn't change that we respect them as parents, but I think
Okay.
having those motivators helps a lot.
Sorry, can I throw something in there? I know there is this belief that African parents will always say, study to become a doctor, study to become this. But there's what is called lived experience. And whether we like it or not, racism still exists. Because I know of someone that studied human resources, and she will be called to attend job interviews after phone interviews, face-to-face. As soon as she appears for the face-to-face, they turn her down because she's got accent, and that was the reason why, instead of assimilating her into the system, they will always reject her. I had to take this person in to work in my office as human resource. Before this person now, after a year plus, I had to now reference this person before this person now started work out there as a human resource person. So I think sometimes as a parent from the African background, we see you as you have a lot to overcome because of where we are coming from. You have to overcome even the color of your skin, because some people, they may not show it to you that they are racist towards you, but through the system, they take advantage of it, and they use that to oppress you. You understand? So sometimes they're telling you this and that. This is not a career. It's not because they hate it. I think Rose, Gen Z, let's hear, Gen Z may want to say something to that. Yes. Okay. Can we just get your reaction, then we'll continue? We've heard you. Well, I'm not opposing you, but I'm just, yes.
I think just to add to Papa's point as well, as much as I understand to an extent where you're coming from, but I wanted to put forward a couple of things. Number one, have you considered that the teachers that you are in class with who are encouraging you are being paid to do that?
Yes.
That is their job. The moment they stop, the moment that they have a bad day and have a go at you and melt down at you because frustrations at home and whatnot, they risk losing their job. So for them to continue being positive towards you, I understand that there's passion. I understand that there's people who genuinely care about being with the children that they're in class. But the thing that may not be considering is that they're dealing with you for a moment in a day. I've worked in customer service. I know how to fake being smiley, happy, encouraging to people for a moment, because I know I'm starting from 8 and I'm finishing at 4 and I go home to my life. Your parents are human beings. They're coming from work. They've been dealing with whatever they've been dealing with the whole day. They are human. It comes to a point as well where, as a human being, the same way that you're saying that there's times where they come and talk to you and you are feeling overwhelmed and you don't want to deal with whatever it is that they're talking to you, that's the same way that they're, the same place that they're coming from as well sometimes. And they may not be able to express that in the best way that's needed, the same way with you. But they're your parents. There's no, I don't know, parents, is there annual leave from being a parent?
Yeah, I think you've just brought a very good.
There's no annual leave. And even if
No.
Sorry, and just to continue on that as well, as much as I know earlier you had said that in Australia you have to take your children to school. Is it a law?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a law.
Okay, so if it's a law, if you can't afford to take your children to school, what happens?
They give you other resources. That's why there's a lot of social work resources for these
Absolutely,
things.
right? But in order for you to get those resources, do people come and knock on your door and say, hey, I saw that your child was not at school, do you want this one? Do they sign it for you?
The first thing that for one, your kid needs to be enrolled in a school, right? And the government can see when your kid is not enrolled in a school. They do a thing, I know at my primary school, I think it's a primary school standard. If you were not at school for one day and no one comes to the school to say they're not going to come to school, they will send you a letter to your parents where your parents need to either say, yes, she was away because she was sick, we forgot. There's only so many letters you can send before they start calling you in or informing you that further actions can be taken.
And if you don't attend any of them, if you
Your
ignore
kids
all
get
the
taken.
letters, your kids get taken, right? Are they going to be taken? Is that the best scenario for that child?
No, okay, the thing is, let me just reel my point in. I am not saying that teachers do this out of the kindness of their heart, though a lot of them do. I'm highlighting the need for encouragement because they're saying, why is the difference between parents and teachers? I'm saying because of that encouragement. Whether they're encouraging me because they're being paid, they're not being paid, I don't care. I'm saying we need encouragement, and that encouragement is what's building the relationship and the resilience.
But see, the thing that you're missing again is the teachers that are encouraging you. Those teachers are receiving the training of ways that they can be encouraging to you. Parents, I'll ask you right now, how many courses did you have to take to be a parent? Not just a parent, but a parent to your particular child with that particular personality, with whatever issues that they may come with.
None.
This is
So
the
you're-
training we are trying to pass to them.
Exactly. So,
This is the training.
Exactly.
We are trying to pass to them the training they are refusing. I don't know what they are going to give to their future generations.
Thank you, ma'am. Wait.
Because-
Sorry. So my point there is, as someone who's also received training on how to deal with people, and I'm sure your friend, sorry, I forgot your name, but I'm sure you can attest when you were learning and studying how to deal with mental health, when you're learning about mental health, you're taught about strategies on how to deal with certain scenarios. If you do this and it doesn't work, try this. If you do that and it doesn't work, try that, try this, try that. The thing that I think some of our Gen Z miss up until they get to a point where they start walking in our parents' shoes is you don't get that as a parent. You have to learn it as you go. There's learning how to train a child, and then there's learning how to train Percy. There's learning how to train Samantha. There's learning how to train Ola. There's learning how to train Rose. We are all different. We learn different. It's never going to be a case of, oh, let's just have a class and I will teach you how to raise these children and they're going to be happy forever. That's not the case. I think there needs to be a little bit of grace and understanding towards your parents there as well. Because the way that your teachers are being encouraging you, they've been taught that. They've been taught how to do that. What your parents are trying to instill to you is what they were taught as well. It may not be perfect, but I think as you grow and as we grow, it's part of our responsibility to look back. And this is how we break generational curses. This is how we break patterns. Because you look back and you say, oh, my mom was doing this. I understand or try to understand what she was trying to achieve and then tweak it so that for your children, you don't do the same thing. I don't think it's fair to sit and basically bash the parents for doing the best that they could. They've never received training. They're not getting paid for this. They can't take leave from this. They're trying to do their best for you. And as much, last point. Yeah. And as much as I understand that to you it's parents don't have a choice but to take their children to school. They do. If they choose not to take you to school, if they choose I'm done with Percy today, they can decide to stop listening, to stop responding to those letters. Yes. They can decide to stop responding to those knocks. They can decide to give you away. But the fact that they chose to keep you around, the fact that they chose to take on that responsibility, to take you to school, to raise you, to take whatever illnesses that you may have had, to take you to the hospital, those things cost money. Those things cost effort. Those things cost sweat and blood. There's things that they won't have been able to enjoy, even if they're making a lot of money because, oh, I need to think of my child. Oh, but if I do this, what will my child do? It's a choice that they're making as well, but it's something that we need to be celebrating them for because there's so many parents that are just giving up on their children. There's so many parents that are just abandoning their children. I think there needs to be something to be said for the parents that stick around. As much as they may not be perfect, there needs to be at least a little bit of encouragement and gratitude for that as well. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, that's okay. I agree with you. Where I'm coming from is
So in addition to what Sister Rose is saying, like when I was up there, I told you guys I can't really support the Gen Z generation because I lived and I was raised by the power generation. Those teachers that you say are quite very accommodating, I'm going to tell you from experience, in my year 10, I did a test, I failed it. I was scared to go home because I'm a person, when I do something, I want to make my parents proud. That's what's always in my head. I failed it. My teacher was like, oh, don't cry. I'm going to add more marks for you. What is he doing? He's being accommodating. But that made me think, I cannot get the results those people got that are higher than me. But I got home, I was still crying. My mom, he told me, okay, call your mom. I'm going to talk to your mom. When I got home, I told my mom my result. My mom encouraged me. I went back to school. I told him, I don't need you to add the marks for me. I can do it myself. My mom told me I could do it. I told him I can do it myself. And guess what? All through the rest of my year 11, year 10, third semester, year 11, year 12, I got awards from that same subject. You get me? I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. Don't get me wrong, woman of God. What I'm saying is they are accommodating. I saw some of those teachers as mentors. Don't get me wrong. You can see them as mentors. But there's a difference between a parent, what a parent can give you, than what a teacher can give you. You get me? Okay? And also, from those same teachers, some of them told me, oh, you could use this bridging course and go to TAFE and get this diploma. My mom told me, and I love what she told me that day. She told me, those people that are doctors, I want to look at you and tell people, my daughter is a doctor. Hold on, gentle now, calm down. Okay, please. Gentle. My dad gave me an option. He said, there's a doctor, there's a lawyer, I told him I wanted to be a journalist. He was like, because these people have grown with time. They've seen things about like the business areas, marketing and stuff. Even Papa told me, the doctor, the lawyer, these things, in this country, these are the things that can work for you. These are the things that cannot work for you. I spoke to my dad. I'm like, this is another country. These are the things I've heard that can work for me in these careers. Is it okay? Even Mama too spoke to me. Is it okay I change? He said, okay, fine. What are you changing to? Because he gave me 4 options. And then, because I was still contemplating in my high school, I spoke to God. I said, God, I know you might not be able to tell people what they should become, but for me, I know you will tell me what I should become. Because I want to really make my parents proud. Papa says, law might not be much helpful because of the things that are going on with the law. Mama also advised me journalism is not an option. Not that it's bad, but in the market it's quite shaky. And then I kept praying to God until I got a prophecy about being a doctor. I told God, because my dad told me go for law. I told him, okay, fine, yes. I didn't know why I said yes, because me, myself, I was confused. Because he knows the best. That was why I listened to what he said. So me coming to Australia, in my mind, I wanted to study law because my dad said so. He knows the best, basically. And I got here, I heard from a person that is experienced and quite educated. And I'm like, okay. And then that was when I started going into medical field. And that's why I'm studying what I'm studying right now with the opportunity God has given to me. By their direction, I'm studying to be an audiometrist. By their direction, I'm going to law. And the way the things are working out, the Bible says where there's multitude of advice, wisdom, there is safety. You get me? I'm not saying your teachers cannot give you, but also as children of God that we are in the presence of God, they are people that are now in the presence of the Almighty God, getting wisdom and knowledge from the Word of God. They are not just now teaching you from, okay, I'm a parent, I'm above you, I've seen the word more than you know. They are also teaching you from the biblical perspective. Are you getting me? I'm not saying your teacher cannot give you that. But in this Australia that me and you are in, there are people that are in cults, that are Freemasons as teachers, Freemasons. There are things that we ourselves physically cannot see, spiritually we cannot see. We need the guidance of an adult. There are mistakes our parents have made. You get me? We are not disputing that fact. Oh no, you did it. They also, let me tell you, they also know they made a mistake. My mom is that kind of a person that she will tell you to your front, I know I've made this mistake before, but still you are my daughter, so you will obey me. You get me? And as you grow, you get to understand. And now I laugh about it. She still says the same thing. Sometimes she makes statements, and I'm like, Mom, I didn't do it, but she laughs. She says, you better shut up, you're the last born. And I laugh about it. Why? Because now I've grown. I've seen that, like Sister Rose said, you make mistakes, you correct yourself, you grow. You get me? Everybody, we're not perfect at all. But for me, I'm disagreeing with you 100%. You see, the teachers, nah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They could advise you, but
what I'm saying is...
Thank you. So you have spoken from your lived experience, and you are speaking from your lived experience. So there is no one answer. You know, there have been teachers that were not either. The teachers that are good, so good. So I don't think we need to argue that aspect. So let's get, yes, okay. I don't know about it. Brother OD is itching to say, Brother OD, yeah, you can quickly say something that will come to you, and we conclude from here, way forward. And, yeah.
Basically, you have been, Gen Z, you've been right in saying that the teachers are doing what they do to inspire you. That's their job. I'm not sure if you can, that's their job. And we are all sure that they get full support from the government. They get all the support. Parents are their own they are their own support. They don't really get that much support as the schools do. So you need to understand that the rules that they're running by is not anybody's rules. They are left alone half of the time. And when there's an issue, they always turn back to the parents and say, hey, your kid is not up to standard, you know. So the teachers will always be first to throw you under the bus if they are not seen. They'll say, oh, your home is not a good place. We need to take you out of the home. I'm not saying every house is good, like every parent is good, but the ones that are doing a good job, you have to be, as a child, be able to recognize it. Take the good out of the parent and just go with it. Nobody really picks the family that they're put into. So if you're put in any situation, God knows why they put you there. Learn what you need to learn from there. If you see something from the previous generation you don't want to carry on, that's your choice. As an individual, you don't want to take that. That's why they say this money thing, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to, that's your choice. They can't put that burden on you. They can only advise you on what to do in life. So that's what this generation is trying to do. They are literally just trying to advise, but they are now gotten to the point where they are yelling, and it's literally how they also learned. But most of the times they were just sat down by the elders back in the days. They'll tell you how it is, be blunt with it, and you need to learn those lessons. I guess the teachers always teach in this generation, you have your own say, but it's not always been like that. It's always been power generation tells the younger generation what needs to happen, and the younger generation don't really have a say. They just need to take it up, or they say, when they're of age, when you get to of age, they start having that conversation with you. But if you're a child, there's no negotiation really. But
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So let's hear her.
Well, first of all, I'll react to the little kid who slapped his mom.
Okay.
Personally, I would be expecting them to go and deal with him, like, accordingly. If they have, I think in the Bible there's somewhere where it mentions that if you hit a child, it's not going to kill him. You know, sorry, what was that? Yeah. So here's what I think. I would say the mom or the dad should go and deal with the kid, and obviously, yeah, like 100%.
In what way? Advice? Go advise the kid.
It could, like I said, spare the road. Maybe he needs a bit of a belt. Maybe it's a bit of a sit down and talking to him. I don't know, but whatever they feel like would work in that.
Yeah, and I heard that discipline, there is no law against disciplining your child. I hope we know that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's no law against it. So you can actually, I think, with your hands spank your baby bump. Yeah, because I've seen that on playgrounds where parents.
Papa,
you know,
as long as you don't leave scratches on the child, marks on the child, yeah. They don't want to see marks and scratches. That's when discipline will come in.
It becomes abuse.
It's okay, go ahead, please.
But anyhow, at the end of the day, I would like to also mention this. With all the points of views that have been brought up from anybody up here or down there, I think that there's no what's the thing? There's no mental attitude of being disrespectful or not acknowledging our parents or not respecting them or not even giving them their props for everything that they do, considering that, like you said, Rose, they don't come with a handbook on how to raise kids. So we do appreciate that. when we are comparing with teachers, we are not asking for our parents to give us leeway, make everything easy for us, right? There are times whereby your phone has to be taken. There are times whereby the tone of voice will not be very good. We understand that. But what we are saying is we feel like we get a bit more encouragement from the outside world than at home. So I think, like you asked for, what's the way forward? It's going to take time. We are human beings at the end of the day. We also need to respect the parent and child relationship. We are not saying be my best friend. That's different. But there's a relationship that we are asking to foster, which might not make us feel defensive too much when you try to come towards us and you say this is wrong, or you yell at us or whatever. There's some sort of a relationship. I might not be able to put it in words, but it encourages us to come to you and speak to you about anything.
Sorry,
that
can
we
I
have.
just, since you mentioned yearly, I think it was one of the questions I wrote down last week. Is yearly a no-no from a parent to?
I wouldn't
to
say it's a no-no. First of all, our parents are human beings, and yelling is a way that we use to deal with certain situations. I could yell to somebody else out there, so I wouldn't expect them not to.
I think it's what tone and also like what you do as your first approach.
I would like to hear it.
I think it's what you're yelling about and being aware of how much you yell. I think that's the case, you know. So if it's like a everyday thing, then it's not just, oh, my parent is frustrated. It's my parent is an angry person, and that's how your child will see you, and it would build this fear. And I think for me, the issue, like hearing all of these conversations about teachers and stuff, when we sit here and we say that encouragement is important, I think in my mind, what you guys hear is, we should just let you do whatever we want. And that's not, no one has sat there and said that. No one has said that they don't value their parents' contribution. People have spoke in a lot of detail of what their parents have done for us, and we can acknowledge that. I think the issue is we can't see how, it's like each time we try to express this bothers us, it's like, think about us. And we're like, we do think about you, but we're focusing on this right now. So I think comes to the face each time when we sit there and say, this bothers us, or we think this is really important. The same way you said that parents are meant to be mentors, not just teachers. We all agreed with that. Like, your parents should be the first place of contact. Teachers want that too. They don't want, like you said, they get paid for it. They clock out. They don't want to have to deal with all a child's problem. They want the parent to be able to do that. The problem is parents, not all, but a lot of parents aren't actually giving their child the time to be able to mentor them. And the discussions that you said is important. A lot of these discussions aren't being had with children. You're not, like, children aren't being taught, like, they're just being told, like, this is important, but not why. You know, not understanding culture and tradition and saying, oh, like, I struggle with this. And in the moment, recognizing when you're wrong, the same thing you said to us, being able to say, I'm sorry. And because it's like, how else are you going to build your self-esteem? So, like, even, like, teachers are human. They get paid for it. But there are terrible teachers. Every child knows that. There are teachers that are terrible. They break down your self-esteem. But they will always remember the person that stuck up and built them up and made them think that they're capable of. And a parent can do that in their own capacity. It's just being able to reflect on yourself and say, am I actually doing that? And if you say yes, would your child say the same thing? Because it's like, in your mind, you might be encouraging your child, but do they see it like that? Are you taking the time to sit there and say, yes, as a parent, this is a child, they communicate differently. Is the words I'm using, are they actually understanding the meaning of this? Are they actually understanding the value? As a parent, what can I do?
That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. So, yes. Chloe wants to react to one of this. Chloe?
So like what I have to say, like react to the video you said. like that wouldn't fly for me. Like the same Jesus that we worship right now, I'd be with him right now if I slap my mom. But like
What would have happened?
the same Jesus that we worship, I would be up there with him.
You'll be with Jesus right now?
Jesus right
If
now.
you were the one who slapped.
So that's like, but yeah, I feel like that's just where, he just like, it's there. The child forgot that he's the child, that's the parent, and I feel like those, like as we said now, like the boundaries weren't set, where he knew that, okay, this is my mom, this is how I talk to her. If something happened, you know, we have to communicate about what just happened. If I got in trouble at school, you explain to your mom, okay, this is what happened, but we do not need to resort to violence or aggression. So yeah.
Thank you for. Okay, yeah, okay. Sister Ola said she needs her questions answered. Okay.
Yeah, my question be answered.
So let's. So can we just attend to our questions? Number one, sweeping serious things under the rug.
Yeah, like, under the carpet, like
yeah.
secret. An example. Yeah, marriage, family issues, like family secret. Also, like if a child was like sexually, or should I say the word, like SA'd, an example like that, or like maltreatment. I mean, not just like shouting and yelling, but like true maltreatment or like abuse, and like family secret. Just like we want to keep our name clean. Want to make sure that our name is not spoiled. Like, I think just learning. That's not even asking them why they're doing that. It's actually just learning. That was the first question. The second question was actually about. Sorry, I just wanted to remind everybody. Was about the single married people that are in a marriage, but they're doing everything in the marriage. Not because the other party is like.
Yeah, I think I was answer the first part about shame. No, this might actually bring us to the reason why parents want to impact good behavior on their children. So when as soon as you actually say, oh no, that sort of shame, it comes with bad behavior, it's associated with bad behavior. But they're coming from, if we actually failed on our part as parents, what is that we haven't actually taught our child so that it could actually make the right choice? So that one is, it's an admission that maybe we might have failed on our part. But you as an individual also look at yourself and say, what is that we're taught that you chose not to follow because
not the child side, from the parent
correct,
side,
which is, that's what I'm saying, that, because parents, why they actually do that, this actually shows their commitment to, they want to see you succeeding. So they look at that as not only a failure, it's failure of the family, as even, did we fail to teach our child? Because they'll actually be looking at other family as well, that they've actually done very well. Same environment, the only difference there is different parents. So they're actually looking at the same and said, did we actually not teach our child enough for our child to make the right choice?
It's not about the child, it's about the parent.
Correct.
So, for example, if the child, an example I just said, for example, a child was SA'd by an uncle, by a cousin, by this, and SA by me like sexually assaulted or raped.
Correct.
Yeah.
That bad behavior anyway, we can't actually say, no, that's really something that we actually condone as that's acceptable. That's definitely not acceptable. But what's the result of that? Is that bad parenting, which might actually say, oh, maybe we didn't, that actually is the result of bad parenting. So we start by blaming ourselves. To say maybe that was a result of lack of good education from us. So,
I understand Sister Ola's question. It's like we parents, we don't tell them our issues in our marriages. Issues, what happened to them, or probably they've been sexually abused as a child. We don't tell them. The reason why we don't talk about it, we are feeling ashamed of what happened. That's the only reason why we don't talk about it. And again, another issue, we don't know how you will react if I tell you you've been sexually abused as a child. It's another trauma coming to you, thinking all those things, past experiences. So it's more to do with the shame.
If you don't talk about it, it actually just adds more trauma to the child, really. Like, the child is going around, because that's the thing, we human beings.
Hold on. The trauma from the parents is going to give you trauma?
Yeah.
But can I
actually.
ask, how
So,
did you get
but if
to
I
know?
didn't tell you, will you get the trauma?
It's sometimes behaviors. For example, you see a daughter with a boy at that time, and you're like, don't do this, shouting, yelling, very exaggerated reaction, which is trauma response, right?
I see.
So because you're doing that, I'm like in my head, like, oh my God, what I do wrong? There's a lot of talk going on in my head, like, oh my God, I must be a bad child. And it's kind of, you don't see that as of that time, but it does happen. So the child is now traumatized that after a while, and a very good example is that they become so afraid to actually date or even like somebody, because they're already traumatized from your reaction that you happen. And I'm not exaggerating, I'm saying a true real life story. Someone really not able to actually open up and be like, I want to actually date someone because they're already traumatized about, like, oh, my mom said she shouldn't do this, which is an example.
I see what you mean, but that's a very delicate thing, to be honest. There is a lot of shame, of course. If it did happen, there's shame behind that, and we don't want to tell you that sometimes. Of course, if it's something that, like you said, you pass on trauma to you as well. Clearly, we've thought about that. But if he's saying that it's affecting you and how you live your life as well, that's definitely something that you need to address. Definitely discuss with your parent. And I'm very sorry that would happen to you, if anything, because I know that sometimes we might never get that sorry from our parents. And why we're having this conversation is to bridge this and to see that, our parents are traumatized. There's a lot of trauma there, and sometimes you will not get a sorry. You will not get a sorry, and you will not get a clue on how it happened. You will not get a discussion of how it went down. That's the generation you're facing. And because of that, I say, like, our generation, some of the things that have happened has ended up that way because there was no tools and resources on how to deal with such things. I've had friends who have experienced that, by the way, and they've had to leave their parents' house. They had to be stranded on the streets. There's so many things that can happen because of that as well in generations here as well. But at least here, they will tell them there's a social worker. Social worker can help you find a place. There's domestic abuse line. There is so many resources that we didn't have, that those traumas were not dealt with. And I want you to sometimes accept that there will not be a bridging gap in that. Unfortunate to say that. And I'm only saying this because it has happened and we cannot take it back. It's something that has happened in the past. And also us bringing it up might inflict further trauma. What do you know? Like in counseling, they tell you when you want to discuss something that's traumatic, they tell you that it's like reliving that experience. You are reliving a whole trauma again. Who wants that? It's not pleasant. So my advice is, as you move on, accept that sometimes you will not get an apology for that, and how you deal with it. I mean, that if that helps you bridge that gap, if that helps you understand a little bit, if that helps you have a comfort that it's not about you, we're not intentionally trying to, be aggressive in that manner. And if you recognize that it's a trauma, well done to you. Because you have observed there's something that has come from down the line. You have seen something. That means you're actually having a clue what's happening. That's self-awareness.
What if it's an example of like a child being S-age and the whole family sweeps, like, I'm gonna keep using this word, hides it.
That's very wrong.
They don't actually confront the perpetrator of the abuse, and it's like, oh, everybody goes around laughing. Every social event, the person is there. This happen. Exactly,
No,
family
here,
members.
A friend I know very well who has happened like that, and it was a brother. And they had to deport him back home. That's the only way they dealt with it. That's the only way they used to do it back in the days. They just separate the person from the situation. Like, is this the abuse? This is what he did? Get rid of him. Move him from where he's. That's how they dealt with things. And I've seen it happen even here. It's not right. It's not right at all. it's not right. It's wrong on so many levels. But for the past, there's no resource. For the though, as the future comes in, if you have seen that that is something that there's resources now, there's helplines now, there's people that can surround you in that, you're not alone, at least that comfort we look forward to. I hope I helped in that.
The second question was actually about the single married people, where one party is doing everything. Like they're legally married, or maybe they're not, I don't know, legally in a relationship or in the same house, but one party is doing everything. And as someone looking at as an outside kind of perspective, you can see one party is struggling. What's the word we use? Like, not so one party is actively struggling, the other party is all oblivious to it. Like, really, like, I don't want to say dumbfounded, but, oblivious to it. And it's like, when they now talk to you as an outsider, oh, I'm so happy I'm married, because they want the title of being married. It doesn't actually encourage, like, from my point of view, encourage people to actually step into marriage, because it's like, well, if I can see people that are doing marriage before me, not all of them, don't get me wrong. Yes, coming sometimes to, I'm feeling anger and bitterness. That at a point actually is directed to the younger women, like anger and bitterness, like, because they see that you get to live the life I would have lived if I was in your shoes currently. And they see younger women and they're like attacking them, because they're like, they used to be single, but however the title of being married is so great that it overshadows like the abuse, the tiredness, the burden bearer, actually someone said, like, if you're El Shaddai, you shall die kind of statement. It overshadows all that, really.
Hey, that question is a bit complicated. But is it talking? Can you hear me? But I have noticed so many marriages, not all, mostly coming from African background, I'll say. You find out, I think, because of most men, when they come from Africa, they were trained in a different way. When they come here, where they have to be like 50-50 helping each other, most men I have seen, they struggle in that. And then you'll find like the wife is the one who's doing like maybe 80% or something like that. There are some families which are like that. But not, I can say, people, they stay because of title. In a marriage, there's a lot. There's children. There is children, I would say. So moving away from a marriage because my other half can't do 60% as I wish. It normally doesn't work like that. Marriage is a commitment, okay? So to get out from a marriage, there is no, in here they call it mental abuse. There's a lot of abuse that is involved there as Western world is concerned. But it's not just as easy like I'm stopping my marriage because my husband can't cook, okay? We allow mostly to give each other time to learn or something like that. Or some of them, they can't learn at all. They can't learn at all. But it's now between me and my partner to allow our life go on and for the sake of the young ones as well.
Allow your life go on, however, one party is actively struggling. Like, so they're actively so struggling that they're not actually not happy, they're depressed, they're like, unhappy. Like, you could see it. Even someone who is back can see that this person is actively struggling. However, you say children, which is very important, of course. I'm not trying to downplay that. However, I'm just stating, like, from a perspective as the younger generation, seeing that, and then see people preach to you like, you should be married by now. Why aren't you married? It doesn't encourage people to actually, I mean, kingdom marriage is beautiful, but it doesn't actually encourage that enthusiasm to like, I want to get married.
Yeah, maybe just to add on that one as well.
Papa John, can I finish? I'll give an example of my own marriage. My own marriage is not 100%, okay? I will tell you, I do more in my marriage. I am from the biblical side, okay? I respect God. And I respect this coming together. We talk together. We try to teach each other. But you'll find out it's so hard for my other half to manage to pick up himself to where I expect him to be. I have got two daughters, okay? One is at home, one is here in South Australia. She'll come in and say, Mom, why can't you sit down? And I will remind her, okay, I am still a wife and a helper. I am not at the same level according to biblical way, okay? We are not on same level. I'm still mom, okay? I'm still a wife to this man. But to him, with the life we are surviving here, it's a discouragement, as you are saying. I'm talking about inside, not somebody outside, okay? I need to counsel her. Like, you know what? Your husband won't be like my husband. It's not every man out there who is like my man. My man, I managed to pray, and, you know, God gave me the heart to forgive. To forgive this man and remember where we're coming from on our history. We didn't start here. Our life comes far away, sometimes where I was not waking myself. And he was the one who was the sole, you know, responsible family. We have some background as well that comes into that marriage. It's not only what people see right now, and then they say, he can't do this, you are doing too much, you are doing this. No. Some people, we have background as well that comes into that marriage. Young people, they look at that and say, Mom, if it was me, I was going to walk out. No, it's not like that. We have our history, where we're coming from with this man, a long history before. And it doesn't affect me because I have agreed this is life. I can't change this old man. I can't change him. This is what he is. Can I throw him away and say, I'm canceling, divorcing you because you can't stand up? No, he's my old man that I was given by God. Die with you now, sir.
Yeah, maybe just to add on that, I tend to differ with my sister. I don't think marriage is something that is supposed to take peace from you. Because that's choice. So the only reason why you actually move into marriage, you actually want to marry someone who actually compliments you, not someone who is going out to abuse you. So I'm not talking about this relationship, but to tell you the truth, if Mama Mary was like that, and thank God she's not like that, I was not going to be that marriage. Because you actually want to maintain that peace. You wanted to maintain that peace because the whole idea for doing that, think about it, you were single and you were happy. Now you are now going into another life where you actually invited someone else who is supposed to come as a helper and is actually going to give you grief. So is that what you want to move into? You were actually better when you were single. Worship your God and, you know, continue to be glorified. Instead of inviting someone now who is going now to even maybe ruin your destiny. You know, that peace is taken away. But now, where there is no peace, so you might as well communicate, try to resolve all the issues, and have that as your life partner, not someone who is just giving grief to you.
Yeah, like what John said, he's saying the truth though. And like what my sister said, because we were married back home there, it's different. The marriage from back home and the marriage which is going to happen here now. Because back home we didn't know about the abuse. There's abuse in the marriage, financial abuse, emotional abuse, this abuse. We learn this through the books and the resources that, this is DV alert, like what you're saying, like you can see someone is struggling, he stress this. I had to learn this here. Because in marriage, there's no formula anyway. There's no best marriage, there's no excellent marriage. There are a lot of things happening there, like what Papa is always saying, it's not like eating ice cream. There's a lot going on in marriage. Some of the things you need to compromise, Sister Ola. You need to compromise. It's not gonna happen like the way how you think, like everything gonna be smooth. It's going to be honey and then chili. a lemon. You just accept it. That is the way how it is. But I'm not encouraging men not to do work like just sort it out when you are just getting married. Because if you leave it for later, it's not going to work. I'm not encouraging you. I'm encouraging you to not to follow our steps. Do like here if you are here, but make sure that you do it in a way which doesn't break your relationship. Because sometimes if you force things, then your relationship doesn't work. It depends what you want in that marriage. If you want those equal rights they are telling you here, or do everything, do this, you want to be the same. Sometimes you stress yourself because it's not going to work the way how the books are saying. Because that one is theory and it's practical. Some of the things you need to compromise. I know some of the things that John can do and some of the things he can't do. Then I'll just support where his strength is. I'll just support I know where his strength is. I just leave him. I can't expect him to cook. I can't expect him to do dishes because I know his strength. I know his weaknesses. So that's how it goes. Like lemon, honey, chili in marriage.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing is to know that marriage should bring, you're getting support, so it should be peaceful. So when you get to that point where now, you feel like someone is taking advantage of you, it's no longer marriage. So you should talk about it. I think the first thing is that communication is very important. Talk about it. If you know that, no, for sure, this is not going to work, don't be in bondage. Don't stay there as a prison, because you need that peace.
And also, there are some marriages where the man tells the woman, just care for the children, I will do the work. Okay, so I think it depends on whatever type of agreement is between the spouses, okay? Because sometimes as an external person, you may be like asking so many questions. Why should she be the one doing all the job? Maybe she told the man, don't relax, stay home, do business from the home. And she's happy with that. Because some people love to work. Yeah. If you don't allow them work, they'll go crazy. Yeah. Okay? And some people are mentally gifted. Yeah. And some people are logistically gifted. They are handy people. So sometimes you may not understand the formula. There's a reason why this woman and the man stayed together. Like she said, there was a time in the marriage where he was the breadwinner, so that the tithes turned is not a reason for abandonment. To say for better for stay, for worse for disappear.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I think what I'm hearing is that we should all play in our strength and complement each other with our weaknesses. Yeah, what I'm hearing is that correct? I'm just saying that if a party, let's say the man now, does everything and he's struggling, as the helper for the woman is actually to help him. It's just the other way around. I'm just saying. I'm not just saying like, if the woman is just a stay-at-home mom, it's wrong. Whatever you want to do, that's your choice, really. But I'm just saying that if one party is struggling, the other party should have, a mental intelligence to actually see that and help out immediately. Yeah, that I don't know.
Sorry, sister. Before you get married, there is a long process of courting the person. So that should be the period in which you use to actually suss out what kind of person is. You have all the advantage at that time to see their true personality. You can take as long as you want to as well during that time. It's almost similar to the same thing we've been talking about with family and the children. In relationship, it's the same thing, the communication. You now have to find out, while you're courting them, who they truly are. And on the wedding day, that's when the real test actually starts beginning. You start to walk this different journey. So it's a complex one that you've picked the topic, but you can't really control another person, especially after you've married them. You really can't. They're still an individual. They're still thinking with their own head. And you'll be wondering, why is this person thinking like this? Until you're able to reach that person with the communication, then that means you are not communicating to the person.
Thank you. I was just going to say exactly what you said. Thank you. I was going to say, marriage is like complicated, and there are things that you would learn after you get married. But the best advice is really to pick the right person. And like he said, you need to take the time. And anyone's marriage is not a reflection of your own. You will find your marriage completely different. And marriage will have seasons. I know Michelle Obama was just very famous quote. She said, "I hated my husband for the first 10 years. I hated my husband for the first, that's what she said. And that was because of the child rearing and all that, and children coming into picture, her being at home and feeling a bit helpless and all those things, and having to travel, letting him actually seek out his career and all that stuff. When you look into her story, you start to understand. And she says, he is the love of my life. You know, because she allowed him that space to do what he needed to do to get her family to where they needed to do. So it was an agreement. So every marriage will have their own agreement. And you're seeing other marriages not being so well. In no way, shape, or form will it even look like yours. So don't ever think any standard of a marriage should be a reflection of what you want for yourself. And this very modern day, marriages are completely different. Husbands are in the kitchen. Husbands are staying with kids. Mothers are out there working. There's so many dynamics that are already in playing right now. So for you to see those things, it might be different phases. And please don't let that be a judgment of how you view marriages. And trust me, marriage is what you make of it. And you can set a tone as the woman who accepts a marriage. As the woman who, the man comes to you. You have to accept it, right? This is the time for you, at a great time, to look at the man, see at his values. What kind of a man is he? What is his Christian walk, if that's what is important to you? You know, so all those things are aligned to what your marriage will be like. So you have to really look into, what marriage do I want for myself? That should be the real question. A lot of times when you see these things, we kind of externalize ourselves and view people as, oh, this marriage, that marriage, and this marriage. Nah, internalize it. If it was my marriage, what would I have done? And like he said, some people, their personalities and character will not show until you're married. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years down. Do you see what I mean? So pray a lot before you get married, because that's how God will guide you to the right person, and that your walk of life will be a peaceful one.
Okay, can we get final words from everybody, please? Okay, you have a question? Okay, so let's have just your question. You have a question for the Gen Z? Okay. So we have 5 more minutes. Then we'll call it a night. So Gen Z, get ready. Question coming for you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so my question for the Gen Z is, do they actually know their purpose, in the family, like expectations? Because that might be the starting point where we've got all these, because we have got the whole expectation, parents have got the expectation, but do they actually know what they're expected to do?
Feel free, anyone.
By expectations, are we talking
Your
mainly
purpose
based
in
on
the
chores,
family.
or what?
Yeah, like
in
when
what
you
area?
when you go to work, which is more of not chores per se, it will be more of purpose in the family. So like when you go to work, you actually have different role. You might have maybe 5,000 people, but they don't get you to go and start to work when you don't know what you're supposed to do. Your performance gets measured as well. So, but now of course this is work. But if you take that home as well, as much as we don't sit down and say, this is how you're performing, this is the level of performance that is expected, which should come from expectation, this is where you are, maybe let's have an improvement plan. You don't get that at home. When you go to work, you actually find that. But that's the same principle that if you want, if you take it home, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But now maybe we don't talk about it. It will just be, okay, oh no, the homework is not done. But that's like a performance review that you actually do at work.
Well, I think I hear where you're coming from, and I hear your question, and I agree with the points that you're raising. My only question is, when we are talking about expectations, like, is it? Can you try and elaborate a bit more on the expectations?
Yeah. So say you are at home, no expectations. For sure, sleeping from morning to the next morning. That's success, because there is nothing that I expected to do. So you haven't done anything wrong there. So you can't even, maybe even measure to say, is this a successful day or not? It's a successful day because there are no expectations. So it will just be, because you might actually be doing something wrong that you don't actually even know what you actually want. Or maybe you're not even sick, you just want to sit there until you become 50. You're just sitting there, a successful life.
Yes.
I think, I think you're right. Maybe there might not be a good understanding of their expectations, which obviously might bring in the gap in communication. I also think you pointed out a very good thing, the fact that when
The yelling is coming up again.
so when I mentioned fostering a relationship, that I think that would be a very good example of a relationship that could be fostered at home.
I think you're talking about purpose in a family. Yeah, I think purpose and expectation is a bit different. I think from what I'm getting is you want us to kind of see how we can be useful and what our role is in our family. I think for me, I do understand, it's about understanding our strengths and weaknesses and where I can be of the most help. I know I'm good at some things my siblings weren't doing. There's some things I just hate to do. Like, for example, I hate mopping. I can't explain why. I just hate mopping. So I would rather sweep than mop. But being able to have those options, you know what I mean, is important. And I think, finding where you're useful, me personally, knowing, we all studied different things. So a lot of the times I'd get my family members would go for advice, or if they need help with a resume and things and I think I see that as a good contribution, but it's whether, no, but I think, because it's a lot. If I'm doing my own assignments, doing the assignments of my parents, doing assignments of my siblings and aunties and uncles, and helping them with job applications. And you know what, a lot of the times there would be people in primary school filling out documents that their parents should be filling out. So I'm it might not seem like a lot, but I see that as my contribution to the family. So I guess asking your kid, what do you think your contribution is? And saying, this is what you think it is, this is what I want it to be. How can we get on the same page? So I think final words for me is more just having the discussions that we're having now, and being able to sit with your child and not be defensive and listen to them, the same way there's things that you have value in we can't learn. There's a lot of things that we learned here, like you guys have said. We had the opportunity and the resources, but I also want to remind you the same resources we have now are also, you can access them. The same way that we can research about domestic violence and things like that, you can sit there and search the same thing. I get there's a lot more responsibility with children and things, but just being willing to learn and see what's out there and listen to your child, and that's
Okay, so person, let's have your final word.
I think one thing I just want to clear up is when we bring up our grievances, it's not to bash them, right? Because here we're talking about the gap in the communication. We are showing the gap, and we are showing the ways to fill that gap. So when we ask for more encouragement, it's not to say we're never getting encouragement from our parents, but we're saying that's a tool to build the gap. Encouragement is really important for resilience, right? And that's, I think, the number one thing I see that this generation is trying to give us is the resilience. And the Bible says David encouraged himself. That someone had to encourage David for David to know how to encourage himself. Otherwise, where did he learn to speak into himself that way? And I think that's what we're asking for. I think as much as we want the lessons and we need the rebukes and we need to be corrected and redirected, we want our parents to speak like they love us more than we want to hear it from anyone else. I think a lot of it really is love. I know our parents know that they love us, but does your child know beyond just, that's my mom, she loves me? And a lot of that just comes from the words. Actions say one thing, But I feel like words really are important, because the thing is, sometimes there's an intent, and I think I've noticed that a lot. There's a lot of things our parents intended, and the intention and the outcome tend to be two very different things. And I think a disconnect happens when you as a parent know what you intended, envisioned this outcome, and it didn't go how it planned. And what's happening is we become the denominator because you understand yourself.
Sorry, what you said, I just want to pick something and ask the parents this question. I've heard this from two individuals, and they are both from African descent. They said it is strange to hear their parents tell them, I love you. Is it truly hard for us or something? Because there was somebody who, in fact, she broke into tears, and she was like, because she heard on the phone while she was talking to me, I dropped off my kids and I told them, I love you, have a nice day. And the person started weeping. But it was like, oh, Papa, you tell your children you love them. I've never heard such from my parents. You know, and this person is now independent. So I don't know, is it, do we easily, how often do we tell our children we love them?
Now we are telling them because we learned it from here.
Yes.
Where we came from, we didn't have that time to be told, we love you, so that you do the right thing.
Yeah,
but now we are doing it. We learn it here. We are telling them, hey, we love you, but we love you with some expectations. We don't just love you. We love you, but we want you to do something.
Love.
But you don't love us.
Conditional love.
Yes. We love you. At the same time, we've got our values, which we want you to maintain.
But do we say it?
Yes,
okay,
we are saying it
let
now.
me ask you, when last did you call your daughter Priscilla and you told her I love you?
I do. It's texting there on message.
No, you told her, then you telling her, not
yes.
text. Because she's watching right now. In fact, she's commenting, she's been commenting now. So when last did you tell her, not text, you told her, I love you?
I accept it. That's what I say. There's a gap there.
There's a
gap
okay.
there.
Okay.
We are trying to close the gap. We are closing the gap now because that's something new we are learning to say.
New.
Yes, it's something new we are learning.
Okay.
We might not say it every day, but the fact is that I brought you here and I carried you 9 months. I love you so much. Wherever my children are, I love you.
So, Sister Baby, when last did you tell Percy, yes, I love you?
I love you so much, but I love you with
okay.
some...
Okay, Sister Baby, when last did you tell Percy, I love you?
So we are still learning because where we come from, we never received that. Percy, I love you. I love you to the moon and back. Forgive me for not saying it every day, but I'm learning as well, and I also expect the same from you. So you also have to come and say, Mommy, I love you. Don't just expect me to say it. Because me, I'm still learning. So you, as a Gen Z who knows, yeah, you have to do it as well.
Sorry, Pastor.
I love you too.
Hey. I just wanted to add something quickly. We could see even in the Bible where Jesus really loved us, and he did say it in the Bible, but his actions were loud. So most of the things you see, the parents do it by action. And when you reciprocate love to the parents, you tend to see them show some sort of affection back to you. They might not even say, I love you. They will, oh, my daughter, you brought me tea today. Thank you. They didn't have to say, I love you, but they just saying thank you shows that they actually love you, you know?
No, I think with Gen Z,
How
like
important
in
is
this
the
country, they
affirmation?
want to hear it. Not just saying, I bought you shoes. Like, I've learned it here. These boys, every day when they go to school, Seth, I love you. Alan, I love you, and God bless you. Every single day. If I don't say that to Seth, he doesn't get out of the car. Yes. They sing it to me. They sing it to me. First of all, like, oh my God. I sing it too. I love you boys. I do it. But it was something that I have to learn with migrating. Where I come from, love means deeper than just saying I love you. It means more. It was between me and my husband, I love you. And it's not something that he sings it. I think he's a little bit back. He takes so long to learn. He takes so long to be in the, in the Western life. Yeah. So even if you say I love you, you say, But I said it, okay? I'm learning. He will say, he doesn't know how to respond. He didn't grow up with the language. He doesn't know. I have to teach him. You need to say, I love you too.
But
that's how it works.
As parents, do you realize that you can do things, you can still carry someone in your stomach for 9 months and not love them? There are children who've been adopted because their parents threw them away. You can buy someone shoes in Africa who's an orphan, but that doesn't necessarily mean you love them. So saying those things, they're important because you're validating to us that you're actually doing it with intention and out of thought for us, not just because, oh, I'm your parent, I have to do it. That's why it's important to say those words. It's reassuring.
Yes. Love you, our children, and we wish you to do those things and listen. Hang on. We love you. We really love you. And we are so mostly proud of you. Yes. And we're so mostly proud of you to have you in a church.
That's
mostly children concerned. Of this age.
That's why we are concerned about your behavior. We are trying to mold it so that you can be perfect, lovable by everybody. Wherever you are going to go, they will still love you as well.
Yeah.
As parents, we love you. Honestly speaking, we love you so much. But at the same time, we don't want you to go without knowing what's going on in the world. Yes. We need to put something in you, instill, empower you with our values.
Yes, so with love, I think actions they speak better than I love you. Yeah,
but the Gen Z are saying they need it.
So I'm actually coming back to them. You say, okay, no, that's fine. Now that they know that they love their parents, surely we were supposed to be overwhelmed with I love you, Dad. We're going to learn from that.
You've made a barrier by not saying it. The same way you don't say I love you because your parents didn't say it. Now it's done the same thing to us. It's passed on because it makes it feel like a no-go zone because you haven't entered it.
No, it's quite a good point. But now it's quite a good point, and we have got to do it. But can you tell where there is hate and love? To say, my parents, for them to do this is out of love. Even if they don't say they've acted, they've actually put love into action. He said, I love you. Then the next thing is smack on the head. Then is that love? You have just said I love you. But what about this smack?
Let's just hear final reaction from.
Hallelujah. Okay, so my beautiful Gen Z, let me give you a little secret. You see what they just did now? Watch the Gen Z power just did. That is the technique they are using to tell you they love you. This is what my mom does. Exactly what they just portrayed. Now, they are not people that will verbally tell you, but they are indirect action after you've made your statement. What they just did now is what my mom does to correct herself, but not to show you that she has corrected herself. Are you getting me?
Okay,
but basically told you they love you. They've corrected themselves underneath what you're saying. They've corrected themselves, but
it's hard for them to tell you they are wrong.
Yes,
but
they
have
now
ways
they've
of
corrected themselves. They've gone underneath you, but I don't know if you're seeing it. This is just an idea for you, like maybe at home. Just try to consciously watch what they've portrayed now in your parents. I'm not saying, sorry, parents, I'm not being disrespectful, but this is what I see from my mom, from my dad. That tells me that they have corrected themselves.
But they're trying to adjust. Can you use your mic, please?
I said
love
it's
you.
not
Words
just I
like,
love you. I love you. I'm proud of you. These type, like, it's a whole array because the actions.
I love you. Let's
I
list
love
them.
you. I'm
Because there are
proud of
parents
you.
watching right now commenting. I love you.
I love you. I'm proud of you. I wouldn't want anyone else in my house but you.
Even not your sibling as well.
No, but all of us, to all of us. That's not a competitive thing, though, because
When they
sometimes
say
parents.
anyone, is that not contradictory?
No, because we've had parents that compare you to cousins. Now I want you to hear that I'm the one you want there instead of my cousin. I felt that. Seriously, people compare you. Like, I'm just saying all these affirming things. I love you is one thing, but I love you can be said in many ways. There's many ways to
like
tell
your mom
someone
says
I
she
love
loves you to the moon.
Yeah, that's one way.
That is NASA.
But even like, it's not just those 3 words, I love you. I'm just saying speaking life into that. And I love you is a big one. When you love someone, you should
Yes,
want to tell them.
but I needed you to list them because parents are learning.
I can't tell you because it hasn't been said to me.
But your mom just said that she
This
loves
is
you
the barrier.
through NASA to the moon.
Percy,
But your mom
I've
just
got a
said she
question
loves you
for
to the moon.
Percy,
Papa.
do you, Percy, do you sing I love you to your mom every day? Do you tell her I love her every day yourself?
No.
She's here. No?
No, I don't.
So how do you expect her to
But
say?
I'm saying I struggle too because it's not a comfortable space for me. And what's made it uncomfortable is not being able to receive that. Like, you learn to receive love is how you learn to give love. So then
Yeah.
it's not like I don't want to say it. I acknowledge as me too, I want to say it, but I'm saying it comes from feeling like that's an okay thing to say. And it doesn't feel like it because we don't hear it. That's where I'm coming from.
Good. Can I? Yeah, that's a really good thing that you just said. It's the same way that it's hard on this side. It's exactly. Do you
I'm
see
just
the gravity though?
acknowledging the problem. I'm not putting the weight there. I'm just putting it in the room. That's where I'm coming
it's in
from.
the middle. It's in the middle. Let's leave it in the middle, like you just said. That's a good one. It's good that you can see the difficulty, though, right? You can really struggle, right? That's exactly how they're feeling. It's not something that we haven't done it. It's not something we've done it all the time as well. So we're learning, and you guys are learning as well. So how can we bridge this? You try hard. They try hard.
Can I say something? With the solution, like as you said, I was also at similar crossroads, and for me it was even worse because instead of hearing those things, I was hearing things that I really didn't like. So for me, I had to be the bigger person and wake up and you say, you know what, as my parent, I love you, I appreciate you, and we started praying together. That one-on-one kind of spending time together, and as uncomfortable as it was, to this day, I still cringe personally when I hear the words I love you, but I force them out of me as well because I understand that I have to put myself in this position in order for there to be growth in my family, in order for there to be growth in my relationship with my parent. And truthfully, till this day, I wake up to, I love you, we're on the phone, okay, bye, I love you. I'm not the one who's saying it anymore. It's now being said to me because I had to force it. As uncomfortable as it was, as unbearable as it was, as much as I was hurt by this person, I had to put those things aside and look at the good. You know, the fact that you fought for me, you gave birth to me, etc., etc. I had to remember those things. And I think sometimes it's a choice to remember the goodness of that person. Yes, we have our imperfections and whatnot, but there's still a reason why, as Daddy John was saying, there's a reason why you were placed in that family. There's a reason why God decided, okay, out of every person who can be your parent or your child, you two are going to be related. So just forcing it, sometimes you really have to push through. That's just my solution.
That just takes me to my last question. My last. I just wanted to agree with Sister Percy for this one because I think, and also with Sister Samantha, and I'm not saying I'm disagreeing with the parents, but it is important to hear those words, especially in this community, because as a child, when you're at school and you're seeing other parents telling their children, oh, I love you so much, or I'm so proud of you, or thank you, and this may be in the white community. In your mind as a child, automatically it's, I didn't hear that my parents don't tell me this, so they must not love me. That's the mind of a child. Now, at the same time, to the Gen Z as well, you guys are more educated about this stuff because it's spoken about in school. It's spoken about in your TV that you're watching. It's common to you to be receiving these and to be saying this. So for this situation, unfortunately or fortunately sometimes, it comes down to what Deacon John was saying before about understanding your purpose and the part that you have to play in your family. Sometimes you're introduced to families to change patterns, to introduce new things. So just because your parents are not saying I love you in the way that you expect them to, maybe try and do the same for them and drown them in it. Mom, I love you. Mom, I love you. I love you so much. Mom, I love you. Until they start, it's natural. They do love you. It's natural. They will automatically eventually get there. I used to have to do the same thing with my dad. And every time I would say to him, I love you too. I love you too. But now we're at a point where he's like, you're my first rose. I love you. You're my only rose. I love you. And it's awkward sometimes because I'm like, who is this person? But we've had to kind of do the same thing. And I don't know if you were here when, I think it was Mama that was testifying that it was Talia that brought it into the family. It wasn't her, it was Talia. And because of that, she's also learning from her child. Sometimes your role as the new generation is to teach and change certain patterns. And part of that is by being the first to take that step to say, you know what, Mom, thank you for doing this. You know what, Mom, I'm so proud of you because this was hard and I know it wasn't easy, so I'm proud of you. You know what, Mom, I love you. And even if they don't respond immediately, they will get there.
So mine is basically similar thing to what Sister Rose said. So it's just like she said, start it, because for me too, I had to start it in my family. And I started it after Papa made a preaching about if your parents go, like when they are gone to glory, you would remember the times you spent with them, the times you were unable to tell them you love them. And that was when I was in high school. And that hit me, it hit home basically. And then I started saying it to my dad, who is quite a military man. And so sometimes he'll be like, Mommy, I love you. Mommy, I love you. Mommy, I love you too. So it's a thing he gradually gravitated towards. And then I started with my mom as well, even with my sister, even my sister's best friend. I basically started that I love you into my family, because it wasn't because we didn't have it, but what Papa preached got to me. Like one day, if I'm unable to see them, how much love did I show them? Even though they didn't show me, how much love was I able to give to them? You know, you don't know when will be the last time of a person on earth. So that was what encouraged me, and I started saying, I love you, Mommy, I love you, Daddy, I love you, Uncle, I love. So even my older siblings back at home, when my parents traveled, when my dad and my mom traveled, I heard them in the phone for the first time, Mommy, I love you. And I was like, wow. Because they always, whenever I called my mom, my dad to say, how are you feeling? They always hear me tell them, I love you. And then I heard them on the phone telling Mom when they returned, they're like, Mommy, I love you. And I was like, wow. So it's quite something that could be passed on, basically.
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much for both of you putting that input, because it kind of ties into what I was going to say. What, as this generation, what do you think is your part to moving forward specifically? Because you've heard on both ends. Now you've reflected on your own. You've asked us question. And we're asking you now, because we, that generation, you said we expect this and that, but we want to hear what role will you play now that you know what you know?
I understand there are some things I can't change, and the best that I can do is change the behavior in myself and see it as a strength that I can recognize that it's negative if my parents are doing, and knowing not to do that. And like you said, seeing how what patterns need to be broken, and like how I can better support like in myself, my friends, the people around me, and how I can show love. Because like we were talking before, I am one of those people that are very uncomfortable expressing myself, and just knowing the same way we need to hear that, you guys probably need to hear that too. You might not verbalize it, but like based on what you're saying, I understand it is important to you, and sometimes we forget that. I think when it comes to the criticizing, like someone said, it's really hard to focus on the good, especially when there's like 20 bad, and you know. But it's like knowing that there is good, and just you guys sitting here is breaking generational curses, and like each step we take, even if it's a small step, it's still a step to getting better and to have a conversation and for us to be able to sit there and say these things out loud and not just thoughts in our head. Yeah. So recognizing is my step.
I'm gonna say to try. Like there's so many things we can complain about, and there's a saying, be the change that you want to see. Like the things that we see in our parents that we don't like, show them better. Show them how you want to be loved. Show them by also acknowledging my mistakes and being the best daughter that I can be based on my parents' feedback. I think moving forward, listening instead of always talking, but also actually putting in effort to better that relationship, being the change that I want to see.
I think we could be more proactive. Like Rose said, we are learning these things a little bit more than our parents did. So we could be a bit more proactive in bringing up the conversations at home. We could listen a bit more, guys, I think, to our parents. And also just respecting them a bit more and knowing that they're human beings. They will get things wrong. They don't have a handbook on raising us. We trust and believe that they do their best, but sometimes it doesn't work out. And we have to look at that and be human beings towards them as well.
Okay, Percy.
I think just a big one for me is not letting the past experience define the current relationship, but more importantly, define who I am, because then it's like you carry that with you, because then it's really hard to see outside of it if you're dragging it into the present as well.
Thank you. So, final words from our parents. 2 seconds.
Yeah,
See,
so
can they answer the same question?
You
So
want them to answer?
yeah, what do
Okay.
they now think is
So
their
way
role
forward,
in?
So what will you do better? Yes.
Let me
2 seconds each.
Yeah, we just ask for forgiveness for what we didn't do for you, to tell you that we love you, but learning is a process. We are still in the process. We are not yet refined products. And the fact that we are in the house of the Lord, the word will perfect us more.
Can we hear from you? You thought you
Yeah.
have final word? Mr. Amira, I thought we would go this way. Okay.
I've learned that the gap is getting bridged, which really excites me because we had really good conversations that were healing. So I felt, I knew that trauma was something that this generation carried a lot, and I've been working on my own, but this really helped in that healing as well for him.
Thank you.
yeah, maybe what I took from this, of course, start of the discussion up to now, is that a communication gap can be closed as engaging in this in conversation with our children with an open mind, even explain ourselves better as why do we want certain things done in a certain way. If it's based on experience, what sort of experience? So that you don't just say, okay, oh, no, I want you to do this without giving some bit of context of why you actually want things done a certain way. If it's a lived experience, maybe perfect opportunity for your child, because you don't want your child to end up experiencing something that can avoid by just sharing exactly why you think certain things should be avoided with some bit of explanation.
Thank you. Maybe, please.
Thank you very much, Papa, for bringing this topic. I think we are all learning, and it was like an eye-opener for us and for them also to know what we expect or what is causing all this like a gap. So I think it really helps both of us, and we are sorry to the Gen Z for whatever they thought, but we're actually doing out of love. It's not about to hate them, but to teach them the knowledge, little knowledge that we have, we also want to pass to them. We are not here to hate them, because we all left what we know back home to come just for them to have a better future. We're not here to hate them.
Thank you. Steven, please.
Yeah, following the program, I know 2 weeks I wasn't here, but I was following online and I was listening every time. I have learned that one thing that was so important that I got from this is communication. Communication, like as the older generation, it's important to listen to them and let them say out their views and let them speak out what they ever want, what they want to speak. Let us not block them or be harsh on them. Even though we were raised in those backgrounds where it was so harsh maybe where we grew up, but with them is totally a different thing. They need us to give them an ear. Let us find a middle, a middle way of us understanding them and them as well understanding us. But when it comes to something like simple chores in a house, I don't think we need to sit down and discuss cleaning and taking your Uber Eats under your bed. Those are just as simple. They're simple things that after I eat, I pick out of my thing and chuck them in the bin. You don't need a communication. You don't need to sit down with mom and we discuss those kind of. They are those simple, basic things that, but I've learned a lot. I have learned a lot. I learned like we have to value these people, these Gen Zs, whatever. We sit down and give them an ear, listen to them when they're talking and value whatever they're saying, because it looks like they're so prone to mental health, I think, more than us, I think.
Are you saying they are not that resilient?
Yes, it looks like the world that they are growing in, it looks like they are not that resilient. So they need us to support them, listen to them, tell them they're beautiful every day. You are beautiful, guys, every day they are beautiful. We're proud of you. They want to hear that from our mouth. Even if we didn't know we have to say it, I'm telling you, I'm proud of you, Alan, okay? Proud of you every day. You are the best every day.
So what about Seth?
Seth, I'm proud of you, okay? I love you. Every day, I will sing this every day. I love you. I'm proud of you. You are number one.
Yes, yeah, we okay? Are we satisfied now? Okay. So I would like to say a big thank you to everyone up here with me. Also a big thank you to every one of us over there who you're making effort to make some contributions. There's so many people online, so many comments I couldn't read tonight because of how hot what we're dishing out here, was. But I want to say thank you. I saw many comments online and people are still commenting. My phone just died now on my birthday. So I know comments are still coming in. So please let us not be hearers alone, but doers. I want to encourage every Gen Z out there and also Power Generation. Please, it is essential that we communicate. Let us allow room for understanding so that we can keep away misunderstanding. Let nobody feel judged. Let us see communication as a way of we working together in unity. And Gen Z, remember this, your parents are a blessing to you. And to the parents, your children are also a blessing to you. The more peace we allow in the home, the more peace we enjoy as we move into this blessed future before us. Amen. Without much delay, shall we pray? Father, thank you for tonight. Thank you for bringing us to the grand finale of the discussion between parents and children on intergenerational communication gap. Spirit of the living God, the Bible says, except the Lord builds a house, the builders builds in vain. Father, Lord, we receive the grace to connect in our communication with our parents in the name of Jesus Christ. And Lord, we pray for every family under the sound of my voice, we pray for peace in the home. We pray for progress in the home. We pray for prosperity. And I pray for every resource persons that I've spoken tonight, Lord, that you replenish them with more knowledge and understanding in the name of Jesus Christ. As we leave this place tonight, let your presence go before and after us. In Jesus' most beautiful name we pray. Amen. The grace and fellowship. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely God's goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. God bless you. If you've got more questions, send them through and we'll see how we'll attend to them. God bless you. And have a blessed